Chapter 398. The old man felt a pang in his chest at those words. It seems that our family's fate has come to an end today. You don't want Huang Yao, the Xing family, or your family. I can grant you all that, but don't you ever come begging me on your knees again. I would never let you return to the Xing family. You want to sever all ties with the Xing family, don't you? You would rather be the Xin family's powerless, poor son-in-law who idles about? I'll grant you your wish. Everyone here has seen that it was Xing Shao who gave up everything he had today, disdaining to be a scion of the Xing family. I won't force him. From this day forth, Xing Zhao's name is officially removed from the Xing family. He would no longer have a place in Huang Yao, and my inheritance would have nothing to do with him. The Xing family should just assume that he is dead, and that would be neat and tidy. As for the person in charge of Huang Yao, I will now officially hand it over to my second grandson Xing Kai and have him get engaged to Miss Gu as soon as possible. Even if you don't care for it, someone else would. I hope that every guest here could bear witness that Xing Shao has betrayed the Xing family today, and would be cursed and blacklisted by the Xing family for all eternity. From now on, if Xing Shao seeks employment from any of you, I implore all of you to remember his face today, and to see if such a person is worth hiring with a high salary. Xing Zhao's dark eyes held infinite meaning. Was the old man calling for all the nobles of Jianchuan to encircle him? So it did not matter. Since things had come to this, he had long since expected such an outcome. The other Xing family members looked at Xing Shao in pity, believing that he had been blinded by greed and was willing to give up all of Huang Yao for Mu Qiqi. They were even more pitiful because the old man's words meant that Xing Zhao's position as crown prince would no longer exist. The scions of the aristocratic families he had offended and the young masters of the rich families he had humiliated would all turn against him for vengeance. Even so, did that not matter? Third brother was the only one who stared impassively at Xing Shao. Of course, there was still some mockery hidden in his heart. These people were probably thinking of finding a chance in the future to step on eighth brother's feet. Since you have nothing to do with the Xing family, please get out of my house. I don't want to see your face for the rest of my life. As for your room, I'll keep my dog there. All the guests present were shocked. Xing Shao had been invincible in Jianchuan for so many years and had never been afraid of anyone. But now there would come a day when he would be humiliated. In the future, when I see him, I finally won't have to take a detour. No, it would be more accurate to say an eye for an eye, an eye for an eye. Then I can only wish the Xing family good luck. With that, Xing Shao turned to look at Mu Qiqi and Su Che in the crowd, gesturing for them to retreat. That was when Gu Xiling suddenly told old Xing, "Grandpa Xing, I think I need to think about my engagement with second young master." The guests were shocked when they heard that. It was obvious that Miss Gu did not like second young master. Second brother's face darkened at that. Of course. You must have been shocked that I didn't tell you in advance. It's fine. You can tell me in person when you two have feelings for each other. That would be better. Old Xing immediately smoothed things over. But this has nothing to do with Xing Shao. But, Xiling, you must understand that he has come this far for Mu Qiqi. He would never turn back for you. Miss Gu, I have nothing now. Even so, I would never choose to be with you. Don't have any expectations for me or you would end up like your predecessor. Gu Xiling had seen how Xing Shao behaved in front of the guests today. His courage to defy his elders moved her. Although she knew that Xing Shao did not like her, he gave her an unusual sense of security. Get lost, Xing Shao, get lost. The once glorious crown prince has finally become a pauper. Let us congratulate second young master. The guests all raised their glasses to celebrate Xing Kai as the new crown prince of Huang Yao. As for Miss Gu, she would probably become Xing Kai's bride in the near future, would she? Xing Shao stepped out of the crowd amidst sighs, while Su Che went to greet him. Chief Xing, should we? No need. Xing Shao stopped Su Che. He knew that Su Che was loyal to his master and did not want him to be humiliated. Even so, Xing Shao believed that this was just the beginning and the real show was yet to come. These people are hot-headed. They might come after you. No one could hurt me even if I'm not in charge of Zhongting now. Of course, it's even better with Zhongting. Come, let's go home with Shao Qi. The old man still had other tricks up his sleeve, but that had nothing to do with him. Either way, every major news outlet was talking about it. He had left Xing Shao in such a high-profile manner so that the old man would have no way back. Soon, third brother led Mu Qiqi out of the Xing residence. Mu Qiqi threw herself into Xing Zhao's arms when she saw him. Why would you put up with all this for me? Xing Zhao smiled and pinched Mu Qiqi's chin. Don't flatter yourself. I'm doing it for myself. As you wish. From now on you're a pauper that everyone in Jianchuan hates. Third brother rolled his eyes. Do you have to ruin your reputation like that? If I'm going to put an end to it, of course I have to be thorough. Are we still brothers? Eighth brother. If you're willing to come to me, I don't mind a glass of red wine. With that, Xing Zhao turned and led Mu Qiqi into a black car. Meanwhile, third brother couldn't help sighing as he watched them leave. Eighth brother was finally free, even if it came at a steep price. At the banquet, the guests appeared unusually excited. They finally had the chance to get back at him for all the bullying they had suffered over the years, but what they did not know was that they were about to see an even harsher and less merciful Eighth Master Xing, the military entrepreneur who would make you regret it for the rest of your life the moment you offended him. Second brother, from now on, you and third brother would shoulder the heavy responsibility of building Huang Yao. I won't compare you to eighth brother because he's dead in my heart. Chapter 399. Grandfather, have you really let go of eighth brother? I only have hatred for him. With those words, the old man gestured at Gu Xiling with his chin and told Xing Kai, Miss Gu clearly can't accept you, but you are the only one in the Xing family who is worthy of her. Moreover, I've already said it, so the Gu family and I will soon arrange your marriage. I understand, grandfather. And what old Xing was going to do next was to make sure that Xing Xiao would have no place in Jianchuan. He did not want a stain to live in this world, or rather hang around in front of him. Xing Kai's gaze followed Gu Xiling. He was determined to have this woman not just because she was beautiful, but also because she made him want to conquer her. But he did not know that the scales in Gu Xiling's heart were already tilting towards Xing Xiao. She might have been born to like men without power or influence. Xing Zhao's departure from the Xing family had spread like wildfire, and the entire city knew about it. Oddly, however, there was no news about Xing Xiao or the Shen family. Old Shen did not say whether the Shen family would accept him as a live-in son-in-law, and Xing Xiao did not seem to have returned to the Shen family either. Since he liked the Shen family's style, he had bought another villa not far from the Shen's house in the same style as the Shen's. That way Mu Qiqi would not feel unfamiliar even if she moved in right away. Since you like the Shen's house, can't you just stay there? Xing Zhao's gaze followed her face as he explained seductively, I can't do whatever I want to you whenever and wherever I want if I stay here. What about Jingting? We don't need anything that has anything to do with the Xing family. I'll arrange for someone to move our things out tomorrow. We already have several homes. Xing Xiao pulled Mu Qiqi and hugged her, telling her, this is the only place we'll have from now on. Mu Qiqi nodded. In truth, she did not really mind where they were staying, but this place was very close to the Shen family and she liked the good feng shui. That was why she gladly accepted Xing Zhao's arrangement. Wherever you are, I am. Who asked you to be my man? Xing Xiao enjoyed it very much and brought Mu Qiqi to the dining room. He had Su Che decorate the place because he wanted to celebrate his new life with his little one. It was rare for Mu Qiqi to wear a white lace dress. Her figure was voluptuous and full of temptation. He really could not tell that the little one had grown up to be able to seduce men. The two had a candlelit dinner. Xing Xiao even extended his hand and invited the little one to dance with him. Their bodies were soon pressed against each other, and Mu Qiqi was intoxicated by the pleasant atmosphere. I'm always worried when you abandon everything and come out of the Xing family. What are you afraid of? Xing Xiao asked. I'm afraid that you'll feel that I've treated you badly and regret it. Then, you'll have to love me even more, Halfway through the dance, Xing Xiao suddenly picked Mu Qiqi up and put her on the dining table before pinning her down. Mu Qiqi simply hooked her arms around his neck, and the two of them began a wild night at the dining table. The lively day was finally over and the Xing family could finally sit down and enjoy a moment of peace. Once the old man calmed down, he began to think about Xing Xiao. Is Jingting one of the Xing family's properties? The old man asked. Xing Kai thought about it and answered, Grandpa Xing, it's eldest aunt who bought it. I think I'll have to ask her. What right does she have to be your eldest aunt after giving birth to a traitor? I'll divorce your uncle as soon as possible. Everyone was stunned at the old man's words. Grandfather, this has nothing to do with eldest aunt, right? Third brother was caught between laughter and tears. She gave birth to our son and it's her fault for not teaching him well. It's perfectly justifiable for me to kick her out. Second brother and third brother shared a look, feeling that the old man's attitude was a little extreme. Second brother, go and find out who owns Jingting and if it was bought with the Xing family's money. Fizz. I'll take it back myself. Was the old man trying to kill them all? Grandfather, you've seen how much eldest aunt has contributed to the Xing family over the years. Moreover, it's never a good thing to break up a family for no reason. I have the final say in this family. The old man was very stubborn. Do as I say. By the way, keep a dog in Xing Zhao's room. Loyal dog. In that very moment no one could argue with the old man. He probably hated Xing Zhao too much. Hence Sheng Kai could only obey and call Mama Xing, who was overseas. Still, he could not bear the thought of the old man chasing eldest aunt away. Even so, Xing Zhao had made a huge mess and no one could clean up the mess now. What is it, Xing Kai? Eldest aunt, well, I want to know if the property in Jingting is under your name, or eighth brother's. What? Mama Xing asked sarcastically. My son has left the Xing family, and now my assets are being liquidated? Eldest aunt, grandfather, might really be hurt. When has he not hurt our hearts? Mama Xing answered second brother after she was done mocking him. I'm paying for this gift for my son and daughter-in-law. It has nothing to do with the Xing family. It's from my dowry. Second brother told the old man truthfully, but the old man had the same look on his face after he heard it. Her assets. How could she buy Jingting with what she brought from her maiden home? And even if she bought it with her own money, does her money not come from the Xing family? The son is really as shameless as the mother. I'll bring some men with me tomorrow to take back Jingting. I wouldn't let those traitors have it even if I have to give it to beggars. Second brother said nothing. Perhaps it was a good thing to let his grandfather vent a little. That was why he did not try to dissuade the old man. Even if the old man did not take it back, Xing Zhao had no intention of staying at Jingting. If he wanted to cut ties with the Xing family cleanly, there must not be anything related to the Xing family. Even so, he could not let old Xing take Jingting away for nothing. It was his mother's. Did the old man want it? Not a chance. Asterisk. Next morning, Mama Xing called Xing Zhao and asked him personally, are you still staying at Jingting? What is it? I heard that the old man is going to visit personally today to take back Jingting. I've already had my lawyer handle it and you should keep it in mind. Mom, I'm sorry for troubling you. Chapter 400. He even wants me to divorce your father. Mama Xing laughed. But you don't have to worry about it. I'll take care of Mom and Dad. Mom, just bear with it for a while. You'll have more glory than the Xing family in the future. Of course I know that. I never doubted my son's ability. Mu Qiqi was sitting on the bed, feeling helpless and guilty when she heard their conversation. Just because you left the Xing family, I'm being chased out of the Xing family? The old man really knows how to vent his anger on others. Still, I'm not surprised. Something the old man would do. What do you plan to do in Jingting today? Su Che will handle it. Xing Zhao turned to Mu Qiqi. It's obvious that the old man wants to take revenge on you, Li Tianlan said. Revenge? It was Xing Zhao's disdainful voice toward the old man. Since the old man wanted to put on an act, he would keep him company. That morning, Su Che was ordered by Xing Zhao to move to Jingting. Still, the men he brought were all skilled just in case there was a chance of a fight. Later, the old man arrived at Jingting with his men, assuming that Xing Zhao was still staying there when he saw that there was someone in the house. The sarcasm in his heart deepened. Master, I'll tell the people in the house to leave. The butler did not want a direct confrontation between the old man and Xing Zhao, and so took the task on his own. Leaning on his walking stick, the old man stood ramrod straight in Jingting's garden. Tell the people in the house to leave with dignity if they're leaving. Don't claim to leave the Xing family while hogging their belongings. All right. The old butler entered Jingting's house, but found that there were only a few workers packing Xing Zhao and Mu Qiqi's belongings. The old butler breathed a sigh of relief and asked, "Who's in charge?" Su Che put down the things in his hand and approached him. "I am old man. What's the matter?" "I'm the butler of the Xing family. We're here to take back Jingting." Su Che looked at the old butler for a moment, then said, "I'm sorry, old man. We are only responsible for taking care of the former owner's things. As for who can take them back, that is not up to us. Therefore we will return the keys and other items to the owner of the property. After hearing that, the old butler returned to Grandpa Xing's side and told him, Master Xing Shao is not inside. There are only some workers packing his things. Take your men inside and keep an eye on them. Don't let anyone take anything that belongs to the Xing family. Xing Shao has nothing now. Who knows, he might steal it. The old butler was astonished when he heard those words. He had never expected the old man to say something like that. Such humiliating words. Go ahead. Whatever they packed, open it and check. This doesn't seem to be a good idea. I'm telling you to go, so go. These workers did not do anything wrong. Why should he vent his anger on them? Moreover, what good would it do for the old master to humiliate these people? Be that as it may, the old butler led his men into the living room and told Su Che and the others, Sorry to trouble you, but we would like to open the bags for inspection. In truth, Su Che knew very well why Grandpa Xing was here and so smiled. What? Afraid that we'll take Jing Ting's things? We're just taking precautions. I hope you understand. It's fine if you want to inspect it, but please show us the proof of ownership. I heard that this house doesn't belong to the Xing family. If that's the case, you have no right to question our actions if you can't show us the proof. Su Che answered the old butler firmly. Young man, we're all just trying to make a living. Why do you have to make things difficult for an old man like me? But you're making things difficult for me when I'm not making things difficult for you. Su Che replied. Show me the proof and I'll open the boxes right away. Otherwise, please don't interfere with our work. Helpless, the old butler was about to leave when Grandpa Xing walked in and told Su Che, Do lowly people like you have the right to speak to my butler? This is already a favor for you and yet you don't know what's good for you. Men, open the boxes right now. Grandpa Xing's men were about to make a move, but Su Che caught them by the arm and dislocated them with a light touch. I don't know who you are or what's so great about you, but I'll make anyone who interferes with my work suffer a fate worse than death. Su Che's skills were clearly professional at first glance. Naturally, Grandpa Xing's men were wary. Old master, why don't we just let it go? Let it go. This is the Xing family. It's not up to others. Su Che said nothing else and promptly called the police. Soon Mama Xing's lawyer and the police entered Jing Ting together. It's old Xing. I've heard a lot about you. Grandpa Xing would never spare the young policeman a glance and promptly told them, These people want to take something from the Xing family. That's why I've asked them to open the boxes for inspection, but they refused. You police see what to do. The policeman and the lawyer looked at each other just as the lawyer and Su Che looked at each other. Then the lawyer took out his credentials and told the old man, I've been asked by my client Fong Qin to handle the matter at Jing Ting. I'm sorry, old Xing, but I have the proof of ownership, investment and every source of funds to buy this house. This definitely has nothing to do with the Xing family, which is why there is no reason for you to come here today. The old man sneered at that. How could Fong Qin get so much money from her maiden family? Doesn't that money belong to the Xing family too? The law only recognizes words in black and white. The lawyer emphasized. You may be my client's father-in-law, but I still have to tell you that this house has nothing to do with you. If you insist on pestering me, then I won't be polite either. Humph. Why would you dare to offend me if you know who I am? Since Grandpa Xing couldn't take it by force, he began to act shamelessly, pressuring the lawyer with his status. I don't care who you are. Even the president is equal before the law. The lawyer replied stubbornly. By the way, Mr. Su, my client has said that you can take whatever you like from the house. That's not necessary. My client has also said that even if this house has nothing to do with the Xing family, he would be disgusted if the Xing family set their eyes on it. That's why he doesn't need a single needle or thread inside. Chapter 401. The old man was furious, but there was nothing he could do. Now he finally understood why Xing Shao had so many rebellious thoughts. It was all because of his mother. That woman must be chased out of the Xing family as soon as possible. Old Master Xing had personally made a trip to Jing Ting, but returned empty-handed. He was being unreasonable in the first place, because he stubbornly believed that the money Mama Xing spent after marrying into the Xing family was rightfully the Xing family's money. And since it was the Xing family's money, he certainly would not let those ingrates benefit from it. Everyone in the Xing family could sense that the old man's temperament had changed after being provoked yesterday. It was as if he would take a bite out of Xing Shao wherever he went. Afraid that the old man's body could not take it, second brother told the old man, "Grandfather, eighth brother has nothing now. I've spoken to our business partners and they would not be polite or merciful if they see Xing Shao. Why bother with him yourself? I don't want to let the ingrate's matter rest just like that. He must pay the price for betraying the Xing family. Grandfather, you don't have to say anything else. Just do your job. The Gu family would come for dinner tonight to discuss your marriage with Xiling." However, judging from Gu Xiling's expression, it was obvious that she was unwilling. "Grandfather, Miss Gu doesn't seem that willing. I've already said what I've said. It's not up to her whether she wants to or not." The old man became even more forceful. "I've already spoken to the Gu family. She would definitely marry into the Xing family, and you are the best candidate." Second brother said nothing, but he knew very well that Gu Xiling had no feelings for him. "Make things difficult for Xing Shao when you see him in the future." Xing Kai nodded to appease the old man. "Don't worry, grandfather. I won't let eighth brother off." Satisfied, the old man returned to his study and called his son. "Eldest brother, I'm giving you two clear choices. 1. Get out of the Xing family and out of my sight like that unfilial son of yours. 2. Divorce Fong Qin." Papa Xing was completely unaware that things would turn out this way, and so asked the old man awkwardly, "Father, what does this have to do with Xiao Qin? She's my wife. How could you instigate a divorce between us?" "Then do you want to choose the first option?" "Dad, I'll give you 3 days. Give me a reply once you've thought it through." Old Xing gave his final ultimatum, as if he was not giving Papa Xing any chance of survival. Mama Xing heard their conversation and smiled. "You don't have to feel troubled. I'll pack my things and go back to Jianchuan in 2 days." Unable to bear it, Papa Xing grabbed Mama Xing's arm. "Xiaoqin, what would you do if we really split up? I still have a son and a daughter-in-law. It won't be very tragic, but I know that you won't give up your career in the Xing family. If that's the case, you should make a decision as soon as possible so that everyone won't suffer." Mama Xing shook off Papa Xing's hand and turned to return to her room. There was nothing she could do if old Master Xing wanted to kill her. Of course, Mama Xing never intended to let Xing Xiao know about it. That was why she had planned to divorce her husband behind Xing Zhao's back, but old Xing would not let the family have peace. He spread the news of the couple's divorce, letting everyone know that it was because of Xing Xiao that the couple had fallen out of control. Hence Xing Xiao was filled with regret. Would Xing Xiao have such a huge reaction? On the other hand, Mu Qiqi felt very guilty. Would Dad and Mom really divorce because of us? Xing Xiao called Mama Xing to ask about Papa Xing's attitude. "Mom, if Dad is reluctant to leave you and is willing to leave the Xing family, I would help him regain his pride as a father. But if he chooses the Xing family and not you, there is no need to keep some people. Give us 2 more days, eighth brother. If Dad chooses you, I'll have Su Che send a helicopter to pick you up. Wait for my reply." Over the years, Papa Xing's attitude had changed under the old man's constant pressure. Even so, he was abroad with his wife and his life seemed to have returned to when they were newlyweds. He could not bear to part with Mama Xing. However, the old man was insistent on forcing him and he could not make a decision at once. Mama Xing was waiting for his final answer. In truth, he knew very well that Xing Xiao had betrayed the Xing family. He would not be treated well by the old man even if he returned to Jianchuan. Still, he would have a hard time giving up his luxurious life even if it was someone else. 3 days passed and old Sheng's call came as promised. "Have you thought it through? Dad, why must you force me? You can only blame yourself for giving birth to a good son." Old Xing said. "If you don't divorce that woman, I would feel terrible just looking at her. Even if she had taken care of you for years in the Xing family, wouldn't you remember old ties?" "Old ties? Your son didn't say anything about old ties when he abandoned the Xing family. That's all you're good for. You can't even make up your mind after 3 days. If that's the case, I'll take it that you've chosen the Xing family. When you come back, bring me the divorce agreement between you and that woman." Papa Xing felt terrible, especially when he saw Mama Xing carrying her suitcase and getting into the car when he answered the call. He panicked at once. That was why he quickly hung up on old Xing and chased after her without thinking. Mama Xing ran all the way to the airport with Papa Xing chasing after her. There were some things that people only realized how important they were in critical moments. Therefore, when Mama Xing got out of the car, Papa Xing caught up to her and grabbed her arm. Xiaoqin. Mama Xing turned to look at Papa Xing and paused. You don't have to send me off. I'm not here to send you off. I won't sign the divorce papers either. Papa Xing answered seriously. I've been a coward in the Xing family for so many years, and I've always treated Dad's words like an imperial edict. I know that Xing Zhao's matter has angered him, but I really didn't expect that he would ask me to leave my wife. Mama Xing's eyes reddened at that. But you'll lose everything if you choose me. It's fine. I'm never valued in the Xing family anyway. Papa Xing hugged his wife. I'm sorry, Xiaoqin. I've let you and Xing Xiao bear a lot of responsibility and torture because I wasn't valued all these years. I know that you've left the country because you can't let go of me. Otherwise you would have left with Xing Xiao. Chapter 402. Why would Papa Xing become like that? It was because Mama Xing knew that the young man had been full of vigor when she first met him, but he had to act mature and capable because he was the eldest son of the Xing family. Even so, he was not suited for that role. He had been trying to gain affirmation from the old man over the years, but he had never been pleased. That was why he felt less and less secure. Mama Xing had seen it all with her own eyes. Is it okay to have nothing if you don't divorce me? It doesn't matter. We can be an ordinary couple as long as I'm with you. We're already so old and I really don't want to fight anymore. Mama Xing burst into tears at those words and thumped Papa Xing's chest. Why did you only come around now? I almost left. I'm sorry, Xiaoqin. I'll make it clear to Dad when we get home that I won't sign the divorce papers. Mama Xing nodded and allowed Papa Xing to wipe her tears. We'll be together from now on. Yes, and that troublemaker Xing Xiao too. But I have to get my passport first. Mama Xing smiled but called Xing Xiao right in front of Papa Xing. Send someone to get me, and your father. Papa Xing did not know what trick Mama Xing was playing. He only reacted when the helicopter stopped in front of them. Did Xing Xiao send this? Yes. Otherwise, do you really think that your son would go begging on the streets after leaving the Xing family? Mama Xing smiled. Old Xing, listen to your son when you get back to Jianchuan. He told me that he would help you regain your pride as a father if you choose me. There was a flash of surprise in Papa Xing's eyes. Xing Xiao should be in a bad situation in Jianchuan right now. Perhaps Xing Xiao was trying to give him the only shred of dignity he had as a father. Still, he really did not care. He could endure an ordinary life since he had chosen this mother and son. Be that as it may, he was left stunned when he arrived at Jianchuan and found Xing Xiao leading a group of his subordinates. Son. Mama Xing promptly lunged at him. Papa Xing did a double take and only reacted after a long time. Eighth brother. What's going on? Get in the car. You'll understand in a while. Xing Xiao had Su Che arrange for his parents to get in the car and brought them to Zhongting. When the employee at the door saw Xing Xiao, he greeted him respectfully, Chief Xing. Papa Xing followed and soon arrived at Xing Zhao's office on the 54th floor. Seeing that the office was even more spacious than Huang Yao's, he finally understood. When did you start your own business? It's been a while. I founded Zhongting with my father-in-law, a military enterprise. Papa Xing stood in front of the French window and looked out at all of Jianchuan, his heart boiling. So this is a company that truly belongs to our family. Dad, you chose Mom, which means that you have family and love in your heart. As your son, of course, I hope that the two of you can be safe and happy. So if you're willing, the doors of Zhongting are open for you. Papa Xing felt his eyes brimming with tears at that. Here he did not have to endure Grandpa Xing's disdain, nor did he have to think about who he was working so hard for. Good. You really are my son. You're really promising. I know that you studied industrial design overseas, Dad. That's why I need a senior engineer. Papa Xing laughed and cried at that. You knew that I'm not cut out for management, didn't you? Then he nodded. I just don't know if my old bones could do it. Of course. Xing Xiao smiled. It was the first time father and son had such a calm conversation. Of course, Papa Xing could feel that Xing Xiao had clearly matured. His brashness was gone and he could be mature and steady now. This is my own business and I would definitely do my best. Don't worry, your father would definitely become the best industrial designer in Jianchuan for you to see. Still, Dad, Huang Yao is suppressing us right now. That's why we shouldn't expose our identities. When the time is right, the Xing family would know everything. Let the old man think that I'm poor now. That way he wouldn't pay attention to us. Papa Xing looked at Mama Xing and nodded. I promised your mother that I would listen to everything you say. But after we leave the Xing family, your mother and we're staying at Jingting. Mama Xing said. It's my property. No one has the right to say anything. Then let's have a good lunch. I'll bring you to the Xing family at night to make things clear with the old man. Where's Xiaoqi? Mama Xing couldn't help asking, missing her fiancé dearly. She's at the forensics lab. She'll meet you tonight. Xing Xiao replied. Meanwhile, Papa Xing was touring around Zhongting, because he really couldn't believe that he could find his true place in his old age. There's going to be a good show at the Xing family in the afternoon. Mama Xing rarely saw her husband like that. Her eyes were twinkling just like when he was young, but she was still worried that her husband would be hurt when they returned home. Of course, the old man is a brave warrior. Your father used to hate him too, but it's because I've seen him like this that I'm never willing to give up on him. Xing Xiao put his arm over his mother's shoulder as a silent consolation. You're the only one who can protect me tonight. Do you even need to ask? Old Xing was very certain that his eldest son would definitely choose the Xing family. But why? Because he had been a wimp all his life. He couldn't give up on his wealth and glory in his middle age. To him, women were not worthy of respect. He could just find another wife if he lost his wife. What's more, a disobedient one. That was why old Xing never imagined that his eldest son would say no to him one day. After waiting for a day and a night, the old man finally got to see his eldest son. But why was Mama Xing still with him? The old man looked rather displeased. Didn't I only ask you to bring the divorce papers? You don't have to divorce this woman in front of me. Papa Xing turned and glanced at Mama Xing before telling the old man, Father, I'm not getting a divorce. Chapter 403. What did Xiaoqin do wrong? Papa Xing asked the old man in distress. You know very well what she did wrong. She gave birth to a bastard like Xing Xiao and turned the Xing family upside down. Do you think the Xing family would tolerate her? Ever since Xing Zhao's provocation at the birthday party, old Xing had become even sharper and more unreasonable towards his own family. And because Mama Xing had given birth to Xing Xiao, the old man took his anger out on her. Seeing that Papa Xing was not moving, the old man rose from his chair and looked at his son. I know you're used to being indecisive and don't know how to make a decision. How about this? I'll let you stay in the Xing family if you chase this woman out with your own hands. With Papa Xing's temper in the past, he would have dug out his heart to show the old man how much he had contributed to the Xing family. You still can't do it? No. Papa Xing suddenly looked up at the old man. I'm just thinking what kind of father would divorce his daughter-in-law. I'm thinking what kind of father would humiliate his daughter-in-law like that and treat everyone as if they were not human. I'm thinking what kind of father would force his own child to this extent. Are you even human? Papa Xing suddenly asked old Xing loudly. I've had enough of you over the years. How much longer do you think you can do whatever you want? Do you really think you're an emperor? The old man suddenly laughed at Papa Xing's words. What? Are you going to learn from your son and betray the Xing family? Isn't it normal for a father like you to be betrayed? Papa Xing encouraged himself inwardly and became strong. Do you still want my inheritance? Do you still want your place in the Xing family? If you still want to, then kneel down and apologize. At that, Mama Xing was about to step forward and argue with Grandpa Xing when Papa Xing stopped her. I'm sorry, but I really don't want it. What did you say? I said I don't want anything in the Xing family, but I'm never divorcing Xiaoqin. Papa Xing said firmly. I hope that when you play with people's hearts, you will think about whether you will have a good end. Xiaoqin, let's go. With that, they were about to leave the house. But Grandpa Xing was puzzled. Boss, did you take the wrong medicine? I can understand that. But you, after being a coward for so many years, who are you trying to show your strength to? It's not that I'm strong, it's that you'll lose more and more family members. Just wait and see. Eldest brother, you have to know that once you walk out of this door, you will be just like your unfilial son. You will never get anything from the Xing family. In the past, I saw Huang Yao as more important than my life. I thought that as long as I worked hard, you would be able to see my existence. But no. I don't care about any of that. That's why the Xing family and Huang Yao are nothing to me. You can just guard your Huang Yao and die alone. This time Papa Xing did not turn around. He wasn't as weak as before. Instead, he directly shed all pretense of cordiality with the old master. He wasn't afraid of anything. This time Mama Xing didn't even have time to speak. Grandpa Xing watched them leave with a complicated look in his eyes. Even eldest brother, who had always been the most obedient, was bewitched by others and left his side. Get lost. I'll make you all regret betraying me sooner or later. Soon, the other members of the Xing family learned about Papa Xing bringing Mama Xing home and causing a ruckus at the Xing residence. Third brother and his brothers felt a lot at that. Grandpa's personality changed drastically that day. He seems to be harder to get along with than before, and his control over his family has increased too. Maybe he's afraid. Second brother answered, looking at his younger brother. Did you know? I really think that eighth brother has gone too far this time. How could he embarrass the Xing family in front of so many guests? Third brother couldn't help frowning at that. Second brother, I thought you understood eighth brother. He has a responsibility as a descendant of the Xing family. He does have a responsibility, but don't you think it's too heavy to put the burden of Huang Yao on his shoulders alone? Third brother asked Xing Kai, pointing at his own shoulder. Yes, he did choose a deadly method. But you should know what kind of person our grandfather is. He forced eldest uncle and eldest aunt to divorce today. Eighth brother wouldn't have taken that path if he had a way out. I don't think he did anything wrong this time. The two brothers had diverged over the matter. It was no wonder that Xing Xiao told him about Zhongting and not second brother. Xing Xiao believed in Xing Kai's ability, but he still held back. Let's not talk about that. What do you think about Grandpa letting you marry Miss Gu soon? She doesn't want to. Third brother laughed at those words. She would be your undisputed wife whether she wants to or not. Why else do you think eighth brother is fighting against the old man? You should persuade her too. It's a foregone conclusion. The two brothers returned to their respective rooms after discussing the day's troubles. However, second brother found Gu Xiling drinking again in the Xing family's garden. Second brother's words suddenly flashed in his mind, and Xing Kai walked up to Gu Xiling. Still not sleeping? He asked. I'm thinking about how to break free from this marriage. Do you really not want to marry me that much? Second brother asked Gu Xiling. Gu Xiling suddenly looked up at second brother with a glass of red wine in hand. Yes. If I had a choice, I would rather be Xing Xiao who has nothing. Second brother chuckled and told Gu Xiling, just accept your fate. You will be my fiancé whether you want to or not. Moreover, you are so proud and have lived with someone else. I haven't despised your birth, so what right do you have to pick on me? Gu Xiling's body stiffened abruptly. If you marry me, it means I can't find the girl I like. What right do you have to look like I'm holding you back? Don't you know who's holding whom back? Gu Xiling opened her mouth, wanting to retort, but she could not say a word. Sleep early if there's nothing else. Instead of thinking about unrealistic things, it's better to be prepared to marry into the Xing family. Moreover, even if you would rather choose Xing Xiao who has nothing, he would rather have nothing than to have you. Chapter 404. A woman like Gu Xiling indeed came from a wealthy family. Her behavior and demeanor were like that of a young lady from a wealthy family. However, she also had the arrogance of a wealthy socialite. Hurt, she felt that the world had wronged her, that everyone should give in to her, and that it was only natural for everyone to be nice to her. At first, Xing Kai would accommodate her, but as time went by and he understood her inner world, Xing Kai realized that it was no wonder that Xing Xiao would risk his life to leave the Xing family. After all, Gu Xiling was a galaxy away from Muqiqi. And yet he had no choice but to marry such a woman. After all, he did not have the courage to betray the Xing family and the old man. Gu Xiling had never seen Xing Kai lose his temper, and she probably felt that she was innocent. Women always like to choose the strongest man. He did not think that she was wrong. In her eyes, Xing Kai seemed to be angry out of humiliation. That night, the atmosphere in the Xing family was solemn. Everyone was trembling in fear even as they ate, afraid that they would infuriate the old man if they were careless and be chased out of the house just like that. There was no consideration for family. Even so, there was warmth like never before in the Xing family at Empire Hotel. Mama Xing quickly went to hug Muqiqi when she saw her, but Muqiqi gently pushed her away. Mommy, don't hug me. I smell. Mama Sheng smiled, unconcerned. Why can't I if my son can stand it? I've been helping out at the forensics lab in the first few days of school and couldn't report back. It would be better when I get back to school. Mu Chichi explained. Since you've chosen this path, Mommy would definitely support you. Papa Sheng suddenly felt a little ashamed when he saw how close his wife was with Mu Chichi. Chichi, it's all my fault for mistreating you in the past. Don't take it to heart and I'll treat you like my own daughter from now on. Mu Chichi smiled and glanced at Xing Xiao before answering Papa Sheng. I'm already very grateful that you've come back and not let Xiao Xiao lose his family. Let bygones be bygones and we should look forward as a family. You're right, Chichi. Mama Sheng said, looking bashfully into Papa Sheng's eyes. It's been so many years, but this is the first time I've seen your father scolding that old man. I would have forgotten that he has a temper if he wasn't like that. I wouldn't have known how vast the skies are if I didn't come out. Papa Sheng sighed before asking Xing Xiao, when do I need to start working? As soon as possible, but your mood. As long as I work, I can forget those unhappy things in the past. Don't worry. Papa Sheng replied. Let me prove my worth. One day I'll tell that old man that I could make a name for myself even without the Sheng family. Mama Sheng smiled from the bottom of her after finally seeing her old self. Mu Chichi breathed a sigh of relief when she saw how happy her parents were. Everything, Xing Mu Papa, Dad. After a while the two elders went to the washroom together, while Xing Xiao put his arm around Mu Chichi's neck. Who told you to wear a white coat? What's wrong with me? Mu Chichi was confused. You don't know what's wrong with you? Xing Xiao asked in return. Every time I see you in a white coat I find you especially attractive. Mu Chichi's face flushed red. Let me go. Mom and Dad will be back soon. When Mama Sheng returned to her seat she saw such a taboo scene. She quickly turned around. These two children wanted to flirt, but they didn't know where they were. Mom's back. After Xing Xiao was satisfied he let go of Mu Chichi and pulled her up. You guys are leaving just like that? I'll give you and Dad a chance to have a candlelight dinner. Xing Xiao said as he walked. Mama Sheng smiled and shook her head. She did not chase after them. She waited for her husband to come back and said, the two young ones have left first. Papa Sheng frowned. Mama Sheng said, you know your son. He's anxious about everything. But what's the rush? It turned out that our CO Xing had accidentally set himself on fire when he was teasing his little wife. Now he was burning with lust. Once they entered the underground parking lot and got into the car, Xing Xiao grabbed Mu Chichi and pulled her onto his lap. I was wondering why you were in such a hurry to leave. After all, Mu Chichi could already feel the warmth of his body. She had thought that Xing Xiao would immediately take her home. But little did she know that Xing Xiao drove the car to a blind spot in the garage and closed the window. Then he kissed Mu Chichi fiercely. I'm sorry, little one. I can't wait until we get home. The underground parking lot was the hotel's parking lot, and there would be people coming and going from it from time to time. Mu Chichi was very nervous, afraid that she would make a sound and attract attention. Xing Xiao knew that she was shy and so stimulated the little one even more, deliberately driving her crazy. Her shirt was pushed up to her neck and her whole body was pressed against the steering wheel. There's someone. There was no need to mention how exciting that position was. Mu Chichi almost went crazy. In the corner, the two were entangled in extreme pleasure, and it was only after 2 hours that Mu Chichi weakly fell into Xing Xiao's arms. Even so, the scent of their pleasure lingered in the car. Oh, I can't. I'm so tired. Smiling, Xing Xiao fastened the seatbelt for her and quickly led her home. By the time they reached home, Mu Chichi had already fallen asleep. But subconsciously she knew who was hugging her. So she smiled sweetly at the person who was hugging her. Xing Xiao's heart melted at the sight. What are you smiling about? Silly thing. It's good that you didn't lose your parents. Xing Xiao abruptly stopped in his tracks at those words. In this world, only that idiot would wholeheartedly think for him and do everything for him. Now that everyone he cared about had left the Xing family, it meant that no one could stop Zhongting's development from now on. Even so, he did not know that his wish to fulfill second brother's wish was precisely planting a seed of disaster in second brother's heart. Chapter 405. Perhaps because she was humiliated by Xing Kai last night, Gu Xiling returned to the Gu family in the middle of the night. only to be sent back again the next morning. According to family caretakers, she was now the Xing family's arranged daughter-in-law. In fact, she was just a prearranged commodity. Xiling, don't be stubborn while old Master Xing is still taking care of you. Although second young master is not as good as the crown prince, he is the real leader of the Xing family. If you don't marry him, who else can you marry? Mama Gu's advice to Gu Xiling when she sent her back to the Xing family. You have no choice. I'll listen to you, Mom. Gu Xiling closed her eyes, pretending that it was all a dream. Xiling, you have so many secrets. Don't let the Xing family find out. When old Xing learned that Gu Xiling had sneaked home, he asked her, is Grandpa Xing not good enough for you? It's not like that, Grandpa Xing. Mommy wasn't feeling well last night and called me. That's why I rushed back and didn't tell you. Gu Xiling quickly explained, and without looking at Xing Kai told the old man, as for my marriage, it's up to you, Grandpa Xing. Old Xing was certainly relieved at that. Don't worry. I've always treated you as the future matriarch of the Xing family, and the Xing family would depend on you to manage it from now on. Since you two are so anxious, I'll meet your parents as soon as possible and settle your marriage. Still, second brother was puzzled. Could it be because of what he said last night? Even so, he did not give Gu Xiling any face at the time. Why was she still willing? Gu Xiling did not look at Xing Kai's expression. Either way, whether she gave Xing Kai a face or not would not change their marriage. Instead, she might as well let herself be happy. Third brother could not help sighing at Xing Kai when he saw their interaction. I really don't know if eighth brother's departure is a blessing or a torture for you. Did you know that Grandpa is secretly investigating eighth brother? Xing Kai asked in return. Still not giving up? I'm afraid it's not that simple. Xing Kai shook his head. Based on Grandpa's temper now, I'm afraid he would want to humiliate and take revenge on eighth brother. He really can't get over it. Third brother could not help sighing emotionally. He only hoped that the old man would not find out anything, or he would definitely die from anger. How could Xing Xiao not know that someone was investigating him? But now that the Xin family was protecting him, he just needed to be the poor son-in-law of the Xin family. As for the other things, Grandpa Xing would cover it up for him. At the moment, Papa Xing was working in Zhongting, or rather Mama Xing had specially built a workshop for him at home. Mama Xing was very pleased to see him regain his former confidence. A cool breeze caressed his face at night. Xing Xiao had arranged to have dinner with Secretary He at a hotel, and he was traveling with only Su Che at all times. Su Che appeared to be a young man without any fighting ability at all. Who would have known that he could break someone's arm with just a small movement? Xing Xiao and Su Che entered the private room first. That was when several young masters of Jianchuan saw Xing Xiao and started discussing among themselves. Is that the crown prince of Huang Yao who just entered? What crown prince? Are you still treating him like a dish now? The crown prince has been replaced long ago. I haven't forgotten that he once hung me on the mountain behind my house and I almost died. The three young masters of Jianchuan looked at each other and hit it off. Since he made you suffer so much and we happen to bump into each other, it would be a waste of fate if we don't make things difficult for him. Soon, the three of them worked together and pushed open the door to the private room Xing Xiao had just entered. Oh, isn't that the crown prince of Huang Yao? What a coincidence. Crown prince, do you still have the money to come to such a high-class hotel? The three of them became even more brazen when they entered the private room and found that Xing Xiao was alone with a little boy. The three of them sat at different corners of the round table behaving like rich kids, and it was obvious that they had ulterior motives. Xing Xiao had been reading some documents, but passed them to Su Che behind him when he saw them. Put them away. Understood. Still acting so serious. There's no one else here, so don't put on an act in front of us. Let's get straight to the point. Looking at the time, Secretary He should be arriving soon. He didn't want these people to disrupt everyone's conversation. Do you remember how you hung me on a tree 3 years ago? One of the lanky young masters narrowed his eyes at Xing Xiao. I'll never forget you for the rest of my life. What? Do you want to be hung again? Xing Xiao retorted. The young master, however, slammed his fist on the table. Who do you think you are now? How dare you talk to me like that? Do you believe that I'll have my men come after you every day? Xing Xiao turned to look at Su Che and smiled. Is that so? I'm a little scared. How about this? Tell me, how would you calm down? Simple. Crawl between my legs. or kneel before me and shout that you're wrong. Then I'll consider letting you go. After all, the Sheng family is clamoring for revenge and you probably wouldn't have the guts to fight back. Xing Xiao laughed at the man's words. Don't you remember why I hung you on a tree 3 years ago? Who else would I hang if not you to humiliate a waitress in a hotel? That was before. Do you still have the guts to strut around in front of me now? I'll call for help right now. There are 3 of you and only 2 of us. Are you calling for help? Xing Xiao asked. What? Kneel and apologize if you're scared. The 3 men appeared ready to fight, their heads held high and brimming with the arrogance and shamelessness of the scions of aristocratic families. Fine. Kneel. However, Xing Xiao did not say who he wanted to kneel. He merely glanced at Su Che behind him and instructed, "Don't kill anyone." Su Che nodded, his face still impassive. Meanwhile, the 3 men laughed. You're still putting on airs when you're like that? You think you're still the same just because you have a lackey beside you? Before the man could finish his sentence, Su Che stepped forward and threw him over his shoulder to the ground. His speed was so fast that no one could clearly see when he had arrived. Chapter 406. Su Che, that's not how you kneel. Xing Xiao remained unmoving on the chair, his thin lips moving. When Su Che heard the order, he promptly dragged the 3 of them from different positions and had them kneel on the ground to face Xing Xiao. I really couldn't tell that you 3 like being tortured so much that you're in such a hurry to kneel before me. Don't get too full of yourself, Xing Xiao. Offend me again and I'll make sure your whole family has no peace. Xing Xiao shot him a sharp glare, and Su Che's palm landed precisely on the other man's face. I really couldn't tell that you would have the guts to cause trouble for the Shen family. Sure, I have no power or influence now. Why don't you try? You don't think I wouldn't dare? Xing Xiao could not be bothered to say anything and leaned back. Su Che, you handle this. The other man did a double take. Su Che's skills were no joke. Let us go, you bastard. Wait until we call for help if you dare. Xing Xiao couldn't help laughing at that. That was when Secretary He entered the private room with his men. However, he promptly frowned at the sight before him. One of the 3 rich young masters actually knew Secretary He and quickly begged for help. Secretary He, I'm Xiao Long. You know my parents, please help us. Xing Xiao is a lunatic. That's right. What's going on, Xing Xiao? Secretary He asked Xing Xiao instead. These 3 had me kneel and apologize the moment they came in. They probably want to experience what it's like to humiliate me now that I'm no longer in power. But they're the ones kneeling on the floor. Secretary He was taken aback. Su Che went easy on them. Xing Xiao replied. Secretary He nodded and glanced at the others on the floor. The one called Xiao Long was hoping that Secretary He could save him, but Secretary He simply said, Su Che, take him to the next room and kneel. But Secretary He only said, Su Che, take him next door and kneel. You should be taught a lesson for running amok outside just because your parents are rich and powerful. The 3 of them were left dumbstruck at that. Understood. Secretary He, you 2 talk. I'll handle these 3 right away. The 3 of them soon left the private room and Secretary He asked Xing Xiao, you only have Su Che with you. Is that enough? How about I find someone else to be responsible for your safety? Su Che is more than enough. Xing Xiao smiled. Brother, although people like us shouldn't be extravagant when we travel and set a bad example for the outside world, you're too shabby. Basic safety needs to be guaranteed. Don't worry, I know what to do. Secretary He pointed at Xing Xiao and said nothing else. There was nothing he could do about him, and after working with Xing Xiao for some time, he fully realized the youth's charm. Next door, the 3 scions of the aristocratic families were kneeling until their legs were numb. However, because Su Che was watching over them, they didn't dare to act rashly. They could only cover their heads and whisper to each other. Didn't you say that the crown prince has no power? How did he know someone as important as Secretary He? Furthermore, it seems like their friendship isn't shallow. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have gotten involved in this mess. How does the crown prince look like he's losing power? It's fine if it's just kneeling, but I'm afraid that the crown prince will come after us in the future. Su Che couldn't help smirking coldly at the trio. These people bullied the weak and feared the strong, and wouldn't be pitied even if their legs were broken from kneeling. Even so, after 2 hours of kneeling, the 3 scions felt as if their knees no longer belonged to them when Xing Xiao and Secretary He came out of the private room. Then the door to the private room was opened and both Xing Xiao and Secretary He stood outside. If we meet in public in the future, you'll still bully me like this? The trio promptly shook their heads. We won't do it again. What's there to be afraid of? Aren't you going to make my family suffer? Xing Xiao smirked and tidied his sleeves. Tell everyone you meet when you go out that you've beaten me black and blue and humiliated me. Well, are you serious, Crown Prince? There can't be a fourth person other than you three who knows about my meeting with Secretary He today, or else. We understand. We know what to do. Brother, do you want me to warn their parents about this? Secretary He couldn't help but threaten the three of them. That won't be necessary. I believe that they know what it means to be obedient. With that, Xing Xiao gestured for Su Che to stop restraining them. Su Che released them and walked out of the private room, following behind Xing Xiao as they saw Secretary He off. Even so, the trio who were kneeling in the private room shuddered at the thought of it. It's lucky that we didn't get into trouble. The Crown Prince is still the Crown Prince after all. How is this losing power? If he could be brothers with Secretary he's definitely not someone those businessmen could compare to. But isn't it an indisputable fact that he's from the Xing family? It's not something we young masters can guess what those people are thinking. What did the Crown Prince tell us just now? To tell everyone we meet that we've humiliated him. Is that what he meant? The trio looked at each other and eventually nodded in unison. He must be trying to pull the wool over our eyes. If that's the case, well, let's go out and brag. Shuddering, the trio rose to their feet and helped each other out of the hotel. They had intended to teach Xing Xiao a lesson, but they did not expect to be KO'd by him again. After seeing off Secretary He, Su Che watched as the trio left the hotel and asked Xing Xiao, should I go again? No need. Keep a low profile. With that, Xing Xiao had Su Che drive. Let's go home. Su Che watched as the trio left and walked around the front of the car to get into the driver's seat. With those three helping him spread the word and distract old Xing's attention, he would have a much easier time. And just as he expected, the next morning, the news of Xing Xiao being humiliated by the three rich kids spread throughout Jianshuan. He was forced to drink and apologize. Naturally, none of them had the guts to ask Xing Xiao to kneel or crawl under him. That way, the people of Jianshuan truly realized that Xing Xiao was no longer a member of the Xing family. He was now someone anyone could step on. Mu Qiqi looked at the man who was having breakfast in confusion when she read the news. Were you bullied last night? Do you believe it? Xing Xiao asked without looking up. Mu Qiqi shook her head. Those rumors wouldn't have spread without your permission. It's to make things easier. Mu Qiqi nodded at that. Like I said, who could touch a finger of yours? Su Che crippled him first. Do you believe in your husband or Su Che? Mu Qiqi looked at him. Was he jealous of Su Che too? I believe in Su Che's skills. Looks like I'll have to work harder to prove my abilities tonight. Xing Xiao answered without blushing or skipping a beat. Mu Qiqi was at a loss for words. Chapter 407. He has his own responsibilities now and is no longer my assistant. Xing Xiao answered meaningfully. The old man was actually in a good mood when he heard that Xing Xiao was being bullied. It was enough to prove that you are nothing after you left the Xing family. You are nothing. Who can you blame for being humiliated instead of being the crown prince? And that good-for-nothing son of his had left the Xing family and was now living with Fang Qin and Jing Ting. Old Xing's temper flared at the thought of Jing Ting. That bitch had clearly used the Xing family's assets to buy it, but she would not admit it now. It was fine. Since he could not take Jing Ting back anyway, it was better for no one to think about it. He did not seem to notice that his mentality was slowly becoming twisted. All he knew was that he had spoiled Xing Xiao too much in the past and never made him obedient, which was why he betrayed him later. He would never let himself lose his family again. Who would want to leave the Xing family? Not unless he died. And those who had left the Xing family would certainly pay the price for abandoning it. It was evening when Jing Ting caught fire. Papa Xing was drawing blueprints in his workshop, while Mama Xing was buying things for her husband in the mall. When the firefighters arrived to put out the fire, the entire mansion was already engulfed in flames. Papa Xing did not manage to save anything and only took out his blueprints and some valuable items, not even having the time to put on his shoes. When Mama Xing returned home to find Jing Ting in ruins, she looked everywhere for her husband. Xing Xiao had already received the news and hurried over with Mu Qiqi. Mu Qiqi quickly checked Papa Sheng for injuries when she saw him. Are you alright, Dad? Papa Sheng shook his head blankly. Then he handed the blueprints to Xing Xiao. Go rest in the car. We'll keep an eye on things here. Why did it catch fire out of nowhere? Mama Sheng looked at her husband's bare feet, her heart aching. The fire burned very quickly. I smelled it in the workshop. When I came out, the fire was already out of control. So I ran out. We will have to wait for the police to investigate the cause of the fire. Papa Sheng recovered from the fire after much difficulty. Xing Xiao looked out the window. Jingting had been reduced to ashes just like that. By the time the fire was completely extinguished, Jingting was already in ruins. The firefighters came over to inform everyone. This is definitely arson. When they were putting out the fire, they smelled the distinct smell of gasoline. As for the specifics, we will have to wait for further verification. Thank you, officer. Mama Xing quickly thanked him. You're welcome. The police tried their best to save some of your belongings. You can send someone over to check them. Since it was man-made, who else could it be? The family immediately thought of the one from the Xing family. I really didn't expect that person to want us to die without a burial ground. I'm still inside. Let's not talk about anything else for now. You two will stay in the courtyard for now. Wait for Su Che to arrange a safe place for you. Xing Zhao's gaze was deep and cold. If it was proven that old Xing had sent someone to do it, the nature of the matter would be completely different. With that, Xing Xiao led his parents, who were still in shock, back to the house where he and Mu Qiqi were staying for the time being. There were guards here and it was close to the Shen family, which was why it was the best place for them to stay. I think Mom and Dad are really scared this time. Since the courtyard is so big, let's just let them stay here. There's no need to find another place. Mu Qiqi said to Xing Xiao when she returned to her room after helping her parents settle down. Xing Xiao said nothing as he sat on the sofa, his eyes as sharp as an eagle's. Mu Qiqi could feel his anger. If Grandpa Xing was really the one who did it, then he must be out of his mind. It was not that he couldn't set Jingting on fire, but he had to at least make sure that there was no one inside. Was he planning to kill his son and daughter-in-law by choosing to do it in the evening with everyone inside? What do you plan to do, Xiao Xiao? I'll investigate, and give them an eye for an eye. That's fine, but not an eye for an eye. We'll use other methods to get justice. After listening to Mu Qiqi's words, Xing Xiao regained his rationality. If it was before, he would have burned down Huang Yao's warehouse. But as Mu Qiqi said, what difference was there between this method and the old man's? Well, what method do you think we should use? Xing Zhao's black-bellied cells were starting to play tricks, and he asked the clever Mu Qiqi. What could be crazier than letting the entire nation know that he set fire to his own son? We're not afraid of anything now. Instead of burning his warehouse, it's better to burn his heart. Wouldn't Huang Yao's stocks fall if such a scandal were to spread? That's his way of making up for his losses. Xing Xiao couldn't help laughing at that. Are you trying to get Mom and Dad to put on an act? Mom and Dad's house was burned down. Are they not allowed to come out and complain? Xing Xiao pinched Mu Qiqi's nose at that. You're a black-bellied one too. I learned it all from you. You taught me personally, and a strict teacher produces a good student. With those words, Mu Qiqi got up from Xing Zhao's side, wanting to see if her parents needed anything else. Meanwhile, Xing Xiao gave Su Che a call. He would have the police investigate the matter and then blow it up and spread the news. Everyone in the Xing family received the news of Jingting being burned down even as they slept. It was only natural that such an ancient mansion was consumed by a fire in a matter of hours, and it naturally made the news. Jianchuan's people, on the other hand, knew very well whose house it used to be. Third brother promptly called Xing Xiao when he saw the news. Jingting was burned down. Are eldest aunt and uncle all right? Scared half to death, of course. Xing Xiao replied. Do you suspect that Grandpa did this? Wouldn't you suspect it even if he wasn't here? Third brother suddenly felt a little desolate as he watched the images of the fire spreading across the sky. My father was at home when Jingting caught fire. In other words, Grandfather doesn't just want to burn Jingting down, but also kill people. Don't overflow with righteousness and fight for justice, or you'll be the next victim. Xing Xiao warned. What do I have to be afraid of? After mocking him, third brother hung up and strode towards the old man's study. Even so, the old man was practicing calligraphy at the moment. Do you find it hard to calm yourself, grandfather? It's easy to sleep when one is old. Then you must have heard about the fire at Jingting, right? What does a fire have to do with us? The old man appeared unusually calm, his emotions unaffected. Chapter 408. That's because he's unlucky. Is that so? You're not going to sleep well if you keep this up, grandfather. Insolence. The old man put down his brush and flared up. Third brother, however, did not say anything. The old man assumed that Xing Zhao's family had nothing and could only watch as Jingting burned down. He definitely did not know that eighth brother was now the CEO of Zhongting. And behind eighth brother were the countless mysterious forces of Jianchuan. He wanted to burn down Jingting, didn't he? Fine. Just wait for eighth brother's revenge. That was why he did not continue arguing with the old man, and simply vented his frustrations in the Xing family's garden in a foul mood. Soon Xing Kai came to third brother's side and asked him, who was sweating profusely, "Are you angry at grandfather over the fire at Jingting?" Third brother said nothing. Grandfather had been wronged for so many days. What's wrong with letting him vent? Isn't it just a house? At those words, third brother turned to second brother in shock, his eyes filled with disbelief. Second brother, don't you think you're becoming more and more like grandfather? When the fire started, eldest uncle was inside. If eldest uncle wasn't so lucky and was burned to death in the fire, do you still think that a house wouldn't matter? Didn't he end up fine in the end? After hearing this, Lao San immediately got up from the lawn. What was the saying? Now he realized that in this family, there was no common language between him and his family. It really made him want to run. He really did not believe that the old man would have a clear conscience if he had burned his own son to death. No, he no longer had a heart. The value of Jingting burning down was inestimable. If it were Mama Xing, would she be able to tolerate it? The old man must have thought that they wouldn't dare to trouble him even if they knew it was the Xing family. Did he really think that they were at their wits' end? On the next day, Su Che had arranged for the media to arrive at the ruins of Jingting, with Papa Xing and Mama Xing being interviewed as promised. Naturally, the media had all memorized their scripts under Su Che's instructions, and knew what questions to ask and how to lead public opinion. I heard that the old chairman, the person in charge of the Xing family, had personally come to Jingting a few days before Jingting was burned down to reclaim the house, but failed. Is that true? Jingting is a gift I prepared for my son and daughter-in-law. I bought this property with my own savings. The money came from my maiden family, said Mama Xing. I've also heard rumors that Chairman Xing is venting his anger on you because of Xing Shao, and wants you to divorce your husband. Is that true? Because of my son, my father-in-law had a lot of opinions about me and wanted to chase me out of the family. My husband couldn't stand being oppressed and left the Xing family with me. But I didn't expect that something like this would happen right after we moved into Jingting. When the fire started, my husband was still in it. Now that I think about it, I'm scared. Mama Xing replied while wiping her tears. I heard from the police that the fire in Jingting was man-made. Did you and your wife offend any enemies? No. The couple shook their heads at the same time. Is it possible that someone is trying to take revenge on you? It's hard to say. Did you suspect anyone? Who else could it be? Mama Xing's answer was very artistic. She did not mention any names, but with so much information laid out, everyone naturally knew who she was referring to. It was the chairman of Huang Yao. All at once, the discussions stirred up a storm. Old Xing was quickly pushed to the forefront of the storm. Although the media did not mention the Xing family and only used a certain corporation, everyone with a discerning eye knew that the person who set the fire and did not hesitate to sacrifice his own son was the chairman of Huang Yao. When Xing Kai learned about it, he quickly had his company's PR team handle it. Even so, the video of Mama Xing crying was spread everywhere. Everyone sympathized with the weak and Xing Shao was left with nothing, and yet old Xing was still trying to kill him. Was that not hateful? It was common for rich families to fall out, but there were always people who would come out to pretend that things were peaceful, which was why it was merely a temporary entertainment in the eyes of the onlookers. However, the scale of the fire and the loss of human life was different. Moreover, Xing Shao had people working on it. That was why the incident became a hot topic in the headlines for days. Hence Huang Yao's reputation and shares all started to fall. Who told you, old man, that powerless people can't retaliate? In just a few days, Huang Yao's market value has dropped by billions. That's enough to buy dozens of Jingtings. Of course, such a scandal would not last. Huang Yao's status as a diamond kingdom was unshakable, just as it would not be destroyed by such a small scandal. As long as Huang Yao took some remedial measures, it was only a matter of time before it returned to its previous level of stability. Even so, it was a great loss even if it was just a few days. We really can't underestimate eighth brother. He made Huang Yao suffer such a loss without even breaking a sweat. Old Xing smirked when he saw the reporters crowding outside the Xing family's house. He's a centipede that's still alive. That's probably how you describe him. Still, Grandpa, did you really order someone to set Jingting on fire? Do you have proof? Old Xing asked second brother in return. Just mind your own business and lead Huang Yao well if you don't have any evidence. By the way, the date of your engagement with Gu Xiling has been confirmed. It's on the 15th of next month. It's only a few days, so prepare well. Got it. Of course, it was not something that would make Xing Kai happy. But it did not seem that bad either. He just felt infinitely sad. After witnessing Huang Yao's loss with their own eyes, Papa Sheng and Mama Sheng finally breathed a sigh of relief. It was fine that Jingting was set on fire, but they could not let the old man be so fearless. After all, it involved human lives. Now the old couple was staying in another courtyard. The first floor was where they moved around, while the second floor was Mu Qiqi and Xing Zhao's territory. Qiqi's idea this time was really good. Your father and I wouldn't have to worry so much. It's the age of information now. Even if there's no proof, Huang Yao would suffer as long as we can get hold of the explosive point and spread it. We're barefooted, so we're not afraid of them. Mu Qiqi explained. Why would I bother with him if your father wasn't almost burned to death? I can't take it lying down that he doesn't even care about his own son's life. Chapter 409. He probably thinks that this is the best way to deal with a traitor. That's why not just Dad and Mom should be safe, you too. He should at least be wary of the Shen family, Mu Qiqi answered. It's just that if he continues like this, he will only push himself into an endless hell. He's already so old. Why would he care about heaven and hell? The Sheng family had been discussing the engagement ceremony for Xing Kai and Gu Xiling. It had been set for the 15th of next month, but seeing that the previous engagements did not end well, Xing Kai suggested to the Gu family that they should just get married. Either way, he had set his mind on Gu Xiling as his daughter-in-law. While the Gu family was afraid of being rude, old Xing did not care about such trifles and told Mama Gu over the phone. Xiling's visit to the Xing family is the same as announcing to the world that she is the Xing family's daughter-in-law. It's the same as an engagement, and it is only right for them to get married. The Gu family was also afraid of causing trouble, and so agreed to old Xing's suggestion. That was why the two youngsters were being toyed around by the older generation like toys. Third brother could only sigh when he saw the scene at home. No wonder eighth brother was willing to bear the name of a traitor just to cut ties with the Xing family. Wouldn't anyone go mad at the old man's control over his children? To prevent old Xing from arranging his own marriage, third brother felt that he should be more proactive and find a rich young lady of equal status. At the very least, he should like her, right? Looking at Gu Xiling and second brother, he felt his scalp prickling and his heart trembling. Xing Kai appeared to be submissive on this matter, but it was not difficult to tell from his conversations with third brother that something had changed in his heart. After all, he increasingly felt that he was in this predicament today because Xing Xiao had selfishly abandoned the Xing family. He had to take over Huang Yao and Gu Xiling. The pressure was making it harder and harder for him to breathe. He would go mad sooner or later, wouldn't he? Mu Qiqi assumed that old Xing would be wary of the Shen family. However, would a man who would burn Jingting be stingy enough to lay a trap in Xingting? Since Mu Qiqi had been borrowed by the forensics lab for a period of time during the start of the semester, she found the atmosphere of the school a little weird when she returned. Of course, she had always been a loner and did not have any good classmates. The boy who had chased after her with the banner had disappeared without a trace. She did not know if Xiao Xiao had told him to get lost behind the scenes. It was also because she had accumulated a lot of experience in the forensics lab during the holidays that the lecturer would let her go up first to give a demonstration when the dissection class started. However, Mu Qiqi was not the one with the best grades in the Faculty of Forensic Science. Why was Mu Qiqi so valued? Feng Shanshan was the one with the best overall grades. She had a pretty face and a rich boyfriend. She was also quite popular in the school because of her versatility. During the first semester of her freshman year, there were many rumors about Mu Qiqi. Although she entered the school with high grades, she did not show a strong ranking. After all, there were too many masters in Xingting University. However, ever since she followed her tutor to the criminal investigation team to be an assistant during the holidays, the atmosphere of the entire forensic science faculty had changed. Her tutors and professors were mentioning her more and more as well. The girls gossiped about Mu Qiqi more and more, especially Feng Shanshan's group. I don't know why Mu Qiqi is so smug. Everyone was wary of her before because she was the crown prince's woman. But now does she really think she's something? That's right. Her grades are not as good as our Shanshan's and she is not as pretty as our Shanshan. Most importantly, our Shanshan can sing and dance and is brimming with talent. But why are the lecturers treating this bastard with two fathers as a treasure? Should keep it down. Her uncle is the mayor of Jianchuan after all. That's her uncle, not her father. Isn't her father a cripple? A group of girls were gossiping about Mu Qiqi in the washroom. They seemed to find her an eyesore. Why don't we think of a way to teach her a lesson? They quickly came to a consensus. But the real Feng Shanshan did not want to join such a fight. She had people to stand up for her, which was why she was the proudest. Mu Qiqi was smart and not easy to get close to. They would definitely fail if they tried to teach her a lesson using traditional methods. Therefore, this group of girls came up with a very vicious move. Wasn't Mu Qiqi close to the lecturer? Then they would pretend to be Mu Qiqi and post it on the school forum, exposing the lecturer's private affairs. They would form a group of 3. One would write the content, one would check for bugs, and the last would find a remote internet cafe to post it on the school forum. And they would do it in the middle of the night. So the next day, Xingting University's forum exploded. An alumnus named July Nongtong had posted a post that alluded to the lecturer of the forensics faculty. As soon as the post was posted, someone deliberately led people to guess that the alumnus was Mu Qiqi. The incident soon reached the lecturer's ears, and she called Mu Qiqi into her office with a red face. Qiqi, I've been treating you well, haven't I? How could you bite the hand that fed you? Mu Qiqi was puzzled. I don't understand, Professor. What do you mean? The lecturer took out her phone and threw it at Mu Qiqi. See for yourself. Mu Qiqi picked up the phone and read it before explaining to the lecturer, I didn't post it. You're the only girl interning in the criminal investigation unit. Who else could it be? The lecturer's face turned ugly. Don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you're an assistant in the forensics lab. Go back and delete the post and I'll forgive you this time. Mu Qiqi did not try to defend herself. She knew that it would not have any effect and would instead make the lecturer hate her even more. So she turned and walked out of the lecturer's office. Oh, isn't that Mu Qiqi who posted an attack on the lecturer on the school forum? She was called to her office. The lecturer used to like her a lot, but now she must feel disgusted as if she had eaten a fly. Mu Qiqi did not say much even as she listened to the discussions of her classmates. Still, there was an awkwardness between her and the lecturer when she returned to class. Chapter 4:10. She had suffered a lot of bullying in middle school because of Mu Tongxue, and could not escape even in high school. And now she was being bullied in university? That was absolutely impossible. As such, Mu Qiqi promptly logged into the school's forums, using Mu Qiqi's real name to post a post. To the person who framed me, you have 3 days. If you don't take the initiative to come out and claim your post, after 3 days, this place will be plastered with evidence of you framing me. I'm not the type of person to swallow my anger. Everyone in the school was in an uproar after Mu Qiqi's post. They had thought that Mu Qiqi would definitely take the blame, but she was still fighting back. That made sense. Although Xing Xiao was no longer the crown prince, Mu Qiqi was still the daughter of the Shen family. Moreover, with her cold personality in school, it was impossible for her to tolerate being framed by others. Still, would anyone really come forward to admit their mistake with her warning? Of course not. Trying to trick me? Does she think I'm that gullible? Evidence. If Mu Qiqi could find any, I'll cut off my head and let her kick it like a ball. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the professor is looking at Mu Qiqi with disgust. Of course. Why doesn't she see how smart our plan is? The 3 girls were having a wild discussion in the washroom, as if such a trivial matter could really hurt Muchichi. When they got home, Muchichi did not tell Xingxiao that she was bullied in school, and only asked Su Che if he had learned detective skills in the army. Su Che shook his head but answered, "I know a senior in this field. He specializes in computer crime research. I want to check the IP address. Why don't you tell me what happened, Miss Muchichi? That way I would know how to help you." Xingxiao raised a brow at the two girls, his eyes hiding his displeasure. That little one was not going to tell him first when she got home, but to Su Che? It had been a long time since she was spanked. Muchichi paused for a moment but still told them about what happened in school. After Xingxiao heard that, he said to Su Che, "Find the IP address of that post. If it's an internet cafe or something like that, immediately get the surveillance footage. Then, get the student list and photos of Cheer's class and look for it. Of course, it would be better if it was his home address, but I don't think he's that stupid. Don't worry, Chief Sheng. Just give me one night." With that, Su Che left the courtyard. It was only then that Xingxiao crooked his finger at Muchichi. Knowing that she couldn't escape, Muchichi strode over and sat on his lap. However, Xingxiao simply pressed her upper body down and slapped her butt twice. "The first thing you do when you get home is to look for Su Che, right? I also don't want you to be distracted by this kind of thing. I can handle it myself. Everything was fine last semester. Why did you suddenly attract trouble from your classmates? I've been a loner in school and rarely interact with others. Moreover, you're not the crown prince now. Those people must have found me an eyesore and are trying to frame me." Muchichi answered. "I didn't keep it from you on purpose. I just thought that you would make a mountain out of a molehill. You're so powerful that even Xingting would tremble if you make a move. It would be even harder for me to keep a low profile then." Xingxiao said nothing. Not only would he trouble Qi'er, he would also thoroughly investigate if the Xing family had anything to do with it. "You want to keep a low profile when you're my woman?" Xingxiao teasingly straightened her body. "Teach those people a lesson. I've always been the one humiliating others. No one could humiliate me. That's you. You and I are one. We are one." Holding back her laughter, Muchichi quickly raised her hand and swore. "From now on I'll tell you immediately, no matter how big or small it is. It's good that you know." With those words, Xingxiao patted Muchichi's butt. "Go. I still have documents to read." Muchichi nodded and kissed Xingxiao on the cheek, before leaving his legs in satisfaction. Su Che did not fail his mission. In just one night he had not only obtained the IP address of the culprit, but also obtained the surveillance footage of the internet cafe. He had also successfully verified which of Muchichi's classmates had caused such a ruckus. The next morning, Muchichi smiled when she saw what Su Che had sent her. "Looks like you're a strengthened version of Jing Yun. You're as fast as Jing Yun and you're even better than Jing Yun. You're the one Xiao chose after all." Su Che said nothing and simply stared at Xingxiao. Noticing that he was tired, Xingxiao told him, "Go back and rest. You don't have to report to me in the morning." "Thank you, Chief Sheng." Having gotten the evidence, Muchichi had an idea of what those people were up to. Still, most of the students in the school were doubtful that Muchichi could find the culprit. Most of them believed that she was pretending to be innocent to divert attention because things had gotten out of hand. But the truth was that it was all a show she had written and directed herself. Of course, Muchichi did not show it immediately even though she had gotten the evidence. She would have to wait until the third day for things to get interesting. As expected, there was no reaction under Muchichi's post even after 2 days. The culprit was fearless, and Muchichi probably could not find any evidence either, could she? I really want to know if Muchichi could really produce evidence tomorrow. How could she clear herself of insulting a student like her mentor? Muchichi was now the target of public criticism. That post was simply too powerful, and it was understandable for students to attack each other since it was the impulse of youth. However, her mentor had always been so kind to Muchichi. How dare she humiliate others behind her mentor's back? There was no way she could clear herself of such a thing. Over the last 2 days, her mentor's expression was as ugly as ever, especially when she saw Muchichi. It was as if the fire in her heart was suddenly ignited. She could not hold back her sarcasm in her words. Everyone in the faculty was watching her make a fool of herself. After all, Muchichi was still acting so aloof even without the crown prince's support. It was no wonder that she was being taught a lesson. Mu Chichi should have her lessons outside the classroom from now on. Her mentor is in a bad mood for the entire class when she comes in, and we're in trouble too. That's right. I really don't know what she's thinking. Our mentor is so kind to her. Meanwhile, Feng Shanshan and the others were lifting brows at each other. They felt that their plan was a success when they saw how much everyone hated Mu Chichi. Chapter 4:11. That afternoon, halfway through class, the forensics lab sent someone to look for Mu Chichi. They asked her to help out at the forensics lab after class. Because of the shortage of manpower recently, the professor needed her a lot. But because of the post, Mu Chichi was mocked from all sides. You should call the professor at the forensics lab and tell him about Mu Chichi's situation. How can someone like her be the professor's assistant? Mu Chichi's tutor did not let her go this time. She warned Mu Chichi directly, "You are a student after all. Since you are in school, you should focus on your studies. Don't go out every few days. How am I going to explain this to the other students?" "Teacher, the professor only told me when class is over. Are you going to control my time too?" Mu Chichi retorted. "Look at your arrogant attitude. You're just a freshman. Don't you know what humility is? The premise of respecting others is that they respect me too." Mu Chichi was neither humble nor pushy. "If there is nothing else, I will leave first." "Wait." Feng Shanshan and the other 4 girls walked towards Mu Chichi. "You have really opened my eyes. You are born with 2 fathers from the start. We really can't afford to offend you, right? The teacher is educating you for your own good. But you are still trying to take advantage of me. Who gave you the courage?" Mu Chichi's expression was not as calm when she saw them walking towards her. But she laughed. "Your house is in the south of the city. The internet cafe is in the north. It is a 3-hour drive. You're really generous." The girl's expression changed when she heard that. But Mu Chichi did not say anything else. She turned and left. "What did she say to you? You are so scared. Did she threaten you?" The girl shook her head. She thought about it carefully and felt that Mu Chichi was trying to trick her. Mu Chichi did not have any evidence at all. Otherwise, if she knew that she went to the internet cafe in the north of the city, why didn't she just post the evidence? She was clearly trying to scare her. So she felt at ease and continued to think of another way to frame Mu Chichi. And their mission was to chase the annoying Mu Chichi out of Xingting University. After class, Mu Chichi went to the forensics lab to help the professor examine the newly discovered dismembered body. When the professor saw her, he asked, "Did you suffer from campus violence?" Mu Chichi was stunned for a moment before she smiled. "Professor, do you still care about this? You're actually very gentle. You just don't like to interact with others. In the eyes of others, you're a little unsociable. Plus, your relationship problems have given you a halo, so it's normal for you to be ostracized." The professor answered Mu Chichi's question as he pieced the corpse together. "Then, Professor, do you also think that I'm the kind of person who posts on the internet? You have classes in the day and come to my forensics lab at night. When you go home, you have to spend time with your boyfriend. I really can't think of any other time for you to do such things," the professor replied. "Just solve it properly. Don't worry too much about it." "Professor, how did you know?" "Your tutor called me and asked if I wanted to change to a student with better grades." Mu Chichi was helpless after hearing that. To think that her instructor was so vengeful. "Do you know what I said to her? She has no bearing as a teacher. She's already a few decades old and has no ability to distinguish. I hope she'll be fired soon." "Thank you, Professor." "What are you thanking me for? Hurry up and help me. This is a serial murder case and the higher-ups have given us half a month to solve it. The police have brought back a whole car of corpses, and we have to ascertain the number and identity of the victims as soon as possible." "All right." Mu Chichi and the professor worked for 6 hours starting in the afternoon before they finally pieced the corpses together. There are 2 males, 2 females and a child. In other words, a family of 5 was killed. At the moment we're missing the heads of the 5 corpses, the right hand of the male and the internal organs of their bodies. It's as if they were slaughtered fish, completely hollowed out. The way the corpses were cut open is also very strange. It's not from the front but from the side. The professor nodded when he was done reading and told Mu Chichi, "You've worked hard today. Go home. I'll handle the rest." Mu Chichi nodded, packed her things, changed her clothes and left the team. Outside, Xing Xiao was driving his little one to get off work. Why are you here all of a sudden? I called you but you didn't answer. It's a big case and I've been piecing the corpses together all afternoon so I didn't pay attention. Mu Chichi replied. How did the school react today? Mu Chichi did not dare to be rash when she remembered her promise to Xing Xiao yesterday. Hence she told Xing Xiao everything that happened in school today, including how her tutor was troubled. Xing Xiao did not say a word after hearing everything. Even so, his heart was in turmoil. He could not bear to see his little one being wronged. When Cheer released the evidence tomorrow, he would first make an example out of the girl who framed Cheer. As for Cheer's tutor, he had other ways to make her disappear. Did she really think that he could not protect his woman just because he was not the crown prince? The next morning was the third day that Mu Chichi had promised to release the evidence. Many people were waiting in the forum to see if Mu Chichi would really release the so-called evidence. After all, the culprit did not come to claim the post that humiliated her tutor from start to end. The campus group was also in an uproar. Is Mu Chichi coming or not? Isn't she still in class? Will she release the evidence? I think she's the culprit. I also agree. What evidence can she produce? Isn't she just trying to divert everyone's attention? Feng Shanshan and the others were always online and scrolling through the campus forum, because they wanted to know if the coward Mu Chichi really had evidence. However, there was no news from Mu Chichi even after noon. Everyone cried out in disappointment. I should have known it was Mu Chichi's trick. I shouldn't have trusted someone like her. She even dares to diss her tutor. Mu Chichi, you should just come out and apologize. It's so embarrassing. However, when everyone went to lunch, Mu Chichi's post was finally updated, and the students who were having lunch suddenly saw the so-called evidence. Look everyone, Mu Chichi has updated her post. Chapter 4:12. Then the IP address of the poster was shown, followed by the address of the internet cafe where the IP address was located. Then the video of the culprit entering the internet cafe to post the post was shown. Mu Chichi was also considerate enough to show the high-definition photo of the girl and the name list of the forensics faculty. That way everyone would have an idea. What was even more ridiculous was that the video of the girl posting in the internet cafe was zoomed in. While her body blocked part of the video, the nickname was clearly the one who had insulted the lecturer. The truth had suddenly been revealed in broad daylight. Damn, this is irrefutable evidence. Mu Chichi actually managed to find it. So Mu Chichi really is innocent. That's amazing. Full marks for Mu Chichi's counterattack. Those who were watching the show were completely satisfied after seeing Mu Chichi's evidence with their own eyes. After all, it was in line with the audience's mentality to watch a good show. What was even more unexpected was that Mu Chichi did not care about the reputation of the culprit at all, and directly zoomed her photo and name on the computer screen. It was hard not to notice. Feng Shanshan and the others' expressions changed at once when they saw it. The culprit, who was posted on the school's website, quickly covered her face and left the cafeteria to return to her dormitory. It turned out that what Mu Chichi said yesterday about the incident in the north and south of the city was true. She had the evidence, but she did not release it immediately and was waiting for them to let their guard down. The girl felt a chill down her spine at the thought. How was she going to stay in school now that the matter was exposed? What should she do? The lecturer looked embarrassed when she saw the result. She had really lost her head in a moment of anger, which was why she really thought that Mu Chichi was the culprit, and even called the forensics lab's professor. The shame in her heart was pouring out uncontrollably. How could this be? How am I going to face this student in the future? That afternoon, Mu Chichi went to class as usual. However, the girl who posted the post was not in the classroom, and the lecturer was even more embarrassed than before when she saw Mu Chichi. Only she knew the reason. The lecturer wanted to find a chance to apologize to Mu Chichi, but Mu Chichi did not seem to care about her. After class, Mu Chichi wanted to go to the forensics lab again, but was stopped by Feng Shanshan and the others. Mu Chichi, you really are a scheming B*TC. Why didn't you release the evidence when you had already collected it? Why did he have to wait for 3 days? You're just playing to the gallery, aren't you? Mu Chichi looked at the two of them and Feng Shanshan behind them and smiled. I can release them whenever I want. What? You want to be my boss? Don't get too full of yourself. Just wait and see. With that, the three of them were about to leave, but Mu Chichi stopped them. I've seen the writing style of the post and the girl's writing style. I don't think it was written by one person. There should be room for further investigation. What do you think? Mu Chichi asked. Feeling guilty, the other two hastened their steps and left. It was then that the instructor approached Mu Chichi and said, I'm sorry, Chichi. I've wronged you. That's fine. The professor didn't believe it anyway, Mu Chichi replied sarcastically. Sure enough, the mentor's expression was extremely ugly. Now that it's out in the open, what do you want to do with that, classmate? It's up to the school to decide. I don't have that much authority and I still have to go to the forensics lab. Goodbye, teacher. What a tough bone. So hard to chew. After all, the instructor never thought that Mu Chichi could be so stubborn. Meanwhile, Feng Shanshan and the others quickly comforted the girl who was hung when they returned to the dormitory. It's fine, it's not a big deal. I'll get my dad to talk to the principal. He can get a lighter punishment for this. But it was the idea of the three of us in the first place, the girl said, sobbing on her bed. The girl sat on the bed and cried while saying, Why do I have to bear the consequences alone after it happened? Well, everyone's scolding you anyway. If you expose us, you'll be scolded by 3 people. We can't stand that little bitch Mu Chichi, and if we're all exposed, how are we going to deal with her in the future? It was true that 3 people make a tiger. And the girl who posted the post was clearly the dumber one and was used as a gun by the other 2. Of course, Feng Shanshan was the smartest person in the matter. She did not have to do anything and just watched as others risked their lives for her and might even be punished. It was a pity that the matter would not be over so easily, going to the principal to settle things. This time it was up to Xing Xiao to play a more advanced trick behind the scenes. The incident kept spreading on the school's website, and the girl did not show up for class for 2 days. They were all in a small group, and the other 2 went to and from class as usual as if nothing had happened. Of course, they kept their promise and asked the parents to talk to the principal. Framing a classmate could be severe or light, and could be exempted from punishment as long as one could find a suitable excuse. That was why the principal was very straightforward in his reply. But no one expected that Xing Xiao would do the same as Feng Shanshan and the others. Of course, he did not show up in person, and instead sent Su Che to deliver his and Grandpa Shen's verbal message. The principal was about to turn off the lights and go home, but an important guest came to visit. Soon, Su Che entered the principal's guest room, and the principal breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that it was a young man. He asked, What can I do for you, sir? I'm Xing Zhao's assistant. Su Che introduced himself. The principal knew at once that he was here for Mu Chichi. But Xing Xiao was in an awkward position now, and he was no longer the crown prince of Huangyao. He could not intimidate others. Well, what can I do for you? I'm sure you won't be lenient with Mu Chichi's case because of a friend's request, will you? Su Che asked. Well, it's actually not that serious. Moreover, the girl has received the punishment she deserves now that the matter has been exposed. It seems that the headmaster is not afraid of Mayor Shin and our old chief. Mu Chichi is the granddaughter the old chief dotes on the most, and the mayor and Mu Chichi are like father and daughter. I came here today because the Shin family asked me to. Of course, the most important thing is my boss, Xing Xiao. Well, what do you mean, Mr. Xing? Are you going to punish her severely? The principal's gaze was rather frivolous. Clearly he could care less about the Shin family. But what about Xing Xiao? There was nothing to be afraid of, was there? Chapter 413. Of course I don't mean that. Well, have you heard of Zhongting, headmaster? Su Che asked the principal again. The principal paused and said, It seems to be a rising military enterprise. If you've heard of Zhongting, why aren't you afraid of Xing Xiao? I think you should be more wary. With that, Su Che took out a photo of Xing Xiao and secretary he playing golf together. The principal jumped in surprise when he saw it. Why isn't there any news from the outside? Because Chief Xing is keeping a low profile. But even if he is, I hope that you'll treat him with respect. What do you think? Of course, you could insist on your own opinion and not believe what I say, although it would be a little awkward when the time comes. It would be weird if the principal did not understand such a strong threat. Our CO Xing doesn't need special treatment from you. As long as this matter is dealt with according to usual practice, it will be fine. I understand. The principal quickly whipped out a handkerchief and wiped the sweat off his forehead. After all, he knew very well that the Shin family and Zhongting would be the most prominent family in Jianchuan in the future. Moreover, the frightening thing about Xing Shao was that he could turn something rotten into something magical at any moment. Moreover, Chief Xing doesn't want the outside world to know his identity, and hopes that you can keep it a secret, headmaster. That I can do. Well, we'll be waiting for your news. With that, Suche even reached out to shake the principal's hand. He did not think that he was shockingly strong, but saw that the principal's entire palm was white when he pulled his hand back. He was a tough nut to crack. The principal felt cold sweat all over his body. He could not afford to offend either side, but if Suche was telling the truth, Xing Shao was certainly more frightening. This matter must be handled properly. Feng Shanshan's clique thought that they had already spoken to the principal, and all they did was find an excuse to apologize and say that it was April Fool's Day in advance. They did not think that the matter would blow up so much and would cover it up a little. Even so, would things really go as they wished? Don't worry, Nuanyuan. We've already arranged things for you with the principal. After this matter blows over, no one would notice you. The girl called Nuanyuan believed in her best friend. However, the school still had to make a decision on the punishment. They had thought that the matter would be swept under the rug with an apology. However, the female student had framed a fellow student and caused a huge negative impact, tarnishing the reputation of her faculty. That was why the school had decided to give her a demerit, and she would have to publicly apologize to Mu Qiqi and the teacher involved. A demerit was tantamount to a stain on a student's record. Since 3 people are in the wrong, please step forward bravely. My 2 best friends, Feng Rong and Lu Jingjing. After the incident was posted, the school's website exploded again. This was a godly plot. One person implicated a small clique. This Nuanyuan will come out and take the blame. After the appraisal, the other 2 cowards dare not come out and admit it. Damn, cliques are so powerful now. They don't even need to resort to such lowly means to bully people. The freshmen are so free. The other 2 girls almost exploded when they learned that they had been exposed. None of them expected Nuanyuan to have such a trick up her sleeve. And Feng Shanshan, whom they had been supporting, was nowhere to be found. Chapter 4:14. Mu Qiqi saw what happened to those 3 as well as the disdain the entire school had for them. That was probably Nuanyuan's so-called explanation for her. However, Mu Qiqi did not have the time to waste on them because there was new development in the case of the family of 5 that was wiped out. The 5 people only appeared to be a family, but after a DNA check, it was found that they came from 5 different families. However, the police did not receive any missing person reports around the area where the bodies were found, so the case became even more mysterious. The fact that the 3 of them could deal with each other when they fought each other was a relief for her, and she did not have to do it herself. Still, everyone was standing up for Feng Shanshan, but she was indifferent when her friends were in trouble. She went to class as usual, but this time her follower seemed to have changed. Although Feng Shanshan was not involved in the matter and there was no direct conflict between her and Feng Shanshan, Mu Qiqi was wary of the girl in a way that she herself could not understand. With the truth revealed and the school meting out a corresponding punishment, the matter seemed to pass peacefully. However, a few days later, the tutor of Mu Qiqi's class informed the students that she was pregnant, and that she was planning to quit her job and go home to nurse the baby. Mu Qiqi found it very sudden and could not help but think about what happened this time. Finding it very strange, Mu Qiqi asked Xing Shao when she got home, "Xiao Xiao is my tutor." "That's your tutor's own decision. She has a guilty conscience." Xing Shao answered Mu Qiqi. "She must have heard something from the principal, so she's afraid." "Have you been to our school?" "No." Xing Shao answered without looking up. Then Suche must have been there. Otherwise, the matter with Nuanyuan's clique wouldn't have been resolved so smoothly. Mu Qiqi figured out the connection. Yeah. Xing Shao never hid his love for Mu Qiqi and there was no need to hide such things from the little one. Still, he had to carefully investigate whether Feng Shanshan was in contact with the Xing family. The next day, the new tutor was already in place, and the 3 girls who had caused trouble for Mu Qiqi had all applied to change faculties, probably because it was too embarrassing. Right now, Mu Qiqi's main focus was on the 5 corpses. Who were those headless corpses? What kind of grudge did the murderer have against them? Most importantly, how perverted was the murderer to kill 5 people and make a family out of them? When class was over, Mu Qiqi rushed out of the school. However, Feng Shanshan stopped her and whispered into her ear, "I'm not done with you about my friend." "How is it going to end?" "You'll find out soon," the man said, brushing past Muchichi. However, Muchichi did not respond to her. Feng Shanshan was a person who strived to be first in everything. She was aloof and proud. She always watched others fight for her while she was too lazy to do anything herself. Compared to that, it was really terrible. There was no need to mention how bad her popularity in school was. If she really went against Feng Shanshan, wouldn't she be screwed to death? After all, she had nothing but Xiao Xiao. Soon it would be Gu Xiling and Xing Kai's wedding. Although the Xing family was busy, the two involved never looked at each other in the eye. Whether it was looking for a new house or ordering a dress, they were doing it separately with no intention of being with each other. Third brother could not help sighing when he saw that. What's the point of a couple like you getting together even before marriage? Since eighth brother doesn't want it, it all falls on me. Xing Kai answered his younger brother. You could refuse like eighth brother. And then my house would be burned down. Xing Kai laughed mockingly. It's not that bad. At least, Gu Xiling is beautiful and there's something redeeming about her. Third brother shook his head, feeling upset inside. That was why he wanted to have a drink with Xing Xiao. Second brother, if there's really no way to change things, you could cultivate your liking for Gu Xiling like before. Xing Kai shook his head. Before, he did not know Gu Xiling's heart because he did not know her well. Now that he knew, he could only marry her and keep her as a vase. Or was he supposed to open his heart to Gu Xiling? Knowing that Xing Kai did not want to get married, Gu Xiling came to him a week before the wedding. I know you don't want to be with me either. It's too much to force us to get married. That's why I want to come to an agreement with you. What's the agreement? Either way, your grandfather wants you to marry me so that our families can use each other's background to carry on the family line. After we get married, we should have a child as soon as possible, and when the child is a year old, we would divorce amicably. The child would belong to the Xing family and you could find a new mother for the child. That way you wouldn't have to look at me for the rest of your life. Xing Kai did not say a word as he read the agreement, but it was clear that he was thinking seriously. I don't want an answer now. I'll give you time to think. I'm just afraid you wouldn't be able to get a divorce when the time comes, especially if you have a child. That was Xing Kai's concern. I would have a way to get away when the time comes. To be honest, Gu Xiling's suggestion was wonderful to Xing Kai. After all, he really did not want to face Gu Xiling for the rest of his life, and he believed that Gu Xiling thought the same. That was why he did not think for long before he agreed to Gu Xiling's proposal. 1 year after the child is born. Just 1 year. With that agreement, the couple did not feel that the wedding was that torturous, because both of them had security in their hearts. But Xing Xiao won't come to our wedding, will he? The Xing family is now completely under my control. From now on he will never return to the Xing family, Xing Kai replied. Even if he wants to, I won't be soft-hearted. Since you've already agreed to my contract marriage, we should be more like husband and wife in the future and cooperate more tacitly. From tonight onwards, let's move into the same room. This way we can get pregnant faster. Usually, a girl would be very secretive or embarrassed to ask a boy out. But Gu Xiling did not hide it at all. There was only one reason. Chapter 4:15. Why would I reject you if you don't mind being a girl? The saddest thing in life was to be forced to live together despite knowing that they would become an unhappy couple. Every cell in Gu Xiling's body would reject the thought of kissing and sleeping with someone she did not like. She was even a little disgusted. But she had hoped that Xing Xiao could help her. But Xing Xiao was willing to abandon the Xing family and have nothing to do with her. That was why she was in her current predicament. Wasn't that man hateful? How hateful. That night, Xing Kai packed his things and moved into Gu Xiling's room. Old Xing was delighted when he learned about it. He was naive enough to believe that he had brought them together. Even so, third brother could tell from his brother's expression that he and Gu Xiling must have discussed it or made a pact. Otherwise, why would Gu Xiling be willing to share a room with second brother when she could not be bothered to look at her brother 2 days ago? It did not make sense. Feeling depressed, third brother drove to Xing Xiao and Muchichi. While Papa Xing and Mama Xing were resting, the three of them drank in the garden. I saw second brother moving into Gu Xiling's room tonight. Seems that they are sharing a room. Didn't you say that second brother likes Guziling? Third brother shook his head even as he sipped on his red wine. I could tell that second brother liked Guziling at first, but it was probably only because of her looks. Later, Guziling gradually revealed her arrogance and aloofness, and showed disdain and contempt for second brother. That is why second brother's heart slowly turned cold. Those two are really weird. Muchichi was silent for a long time after listening to third brother's description. Are you worried for yourself, third brother? She asked after a long time. Both old Xing and second brother have changed a lot in the family. I don't know if it would be my turn in the end. From now on we'll help you keep an eye out for good girls. This way you can at least take the initiative. Little sister-in-law, don't say that. I've already thought about this. In the future if there are any family banquets I'll try my best to join them. Wouldn't it be perfect if I met the right woman? With that, third brother chuckled. Second brother's wedding is on the 15th. You won't be at Xing Mansion then. I wonder how the old man will slander your family that day. Whatever, Xing Xiao answered casually. That's true. You even allowed rumors of being bullied by 3 aristocratic scions to spread, let alone the genuine humiliation from the Xing family. Third brother drank a lot in the yard that night. He was so drunk that he lost consciousness. Xing Xiao asked Su Che to send him home, and it was Xing Kai who came out to pick him up. Xing Kai had never seen Su Che before. He only thought that third brother had gone somewhere to get drunk and that Su Che was the bartender there. Of course Su Che wouldn't explain. After completing the mission he immediately returned home. Second brother. Aren't you in the bridal room? Helpless, Xing Kai had the butler send him back to his room. Still, when it came to the bridal room he and Gu Xiling hadn't taken that step yet. After all, there was still a barrier in their hearts. Spring in Jianchuan was still chilly. After Muchichi finished her bath, she returned to the bed reeking of alcohol and threw herself into Xing Zhao's arms. Seeing that he was not asleep she said, Actually, third brother is blaming us a little. Every time he comes he would complain about the Xing family, but I could tell that he still thinks that the change in the old man and second brother is because you left the Xing family. Why should I bear such a burden? This time Xing Xiao lay on the bed. He did not use his hands and feet on Muchichi like before, nor did he tease her. Instead he asked Muchichi in return with a low voice, as if they were any other husband and wife having a casual chat before bed. Don't you regret leaving the Xing family at all? Why should I? Xing Xiao asked. Are you out of your mind? Would you be willing to let your husband shoulder the responsibility of the Xing family now? Muchichi shook her head. Of course not. You're working so hard at Huangyao and the old man is controlling you in every way possible. The rest of the Xing family thinks that it's only right for you to do so, and I certainly wouldn't let you go back. Then why are you blabbering? I'm just. This time Xing Xiao did not wait for Muchichi to finish. He pinched her chin and said, The only person you have to feel sorry for in this world is me. Don't even think about the other messy things. Strike me first if the heavens strike you. Strike me first if the heavens strike you. I'll be content as long as you stay by my side. At those words Muchichi abruptly bit Xing Zhao's chin. What heavens strike you? Tui. Don't feel guilty for the choices of others. Fate can be resisted but it depends on whether you're willing to pay the price. When you talk about teaching you're really good at it. Xing Xiao abruptly opened his eyes at that. You don't like me preaching? Then let's do something else. Over the last 2 years the little one still had kindness in her bones no matter how much she had grown. She would feel insecure over the misfortune of others. That was something he could not teach just as he did not want to change Muchichi. It was fine if Cheer was kind but he could be ruthless. Moreover, Cheer's kindness was not blind obedience or Virgin Mary. The next day, since it was the weekend, Muchichi was summoned to the forensics lab early in the morning. It was only when she arrived that she learned that Feng Shanshan had applied to study and observe as well. Hello, Chi-Chi. Muchichi nodded slightly and quickly changed her clothes at the professor's instruction. Although Feng Shanshan and Muchichi were in the same class, she did not come for her internship during the holidays, which was why she had much less experience than Muchichi. Although her results in theory were better than Muchichi's. Chi-Chi, now that the police have no direction to investigate, we can only think of a way to see if we can provide some ideas for those young masters who are in a terrible situation. Muchichi stared at the pieces of corpses, troubled as well. Are there no connections between these 5 people? The police have investigated all missing persons, but they couldn't find anything. No one is missing. Then, did they investigate the funeral parlors? The professor was stunned for a moment. You're right. These 5 people don't have any obvious external injuries, but because their internal organs have been dug out, we can't determine the real cause of death. What if someone stole the corpses? Chapter 4:16. When the professor left the lab, Feng Shanshan looked at Mu Qiqi. Qiqi, you've already gotten used to being a forensic doctor. Mu Qiqi propped herself up by the pool and asked Feng Shanshan in return, didn't you say that you would make me pay for what happened to your companions? What's going on now? I didn't expect you to really take my words to heart. Feng Shanshan laughed. Those 3 asked for it. I only threatened you in a moment of anger. At that, Mu Qiqi turned and approached Feng Shanshan. I don't like being two-faced. I also think that it's better if we don't talk to each other lest we disgust each other, don't you think? You're so petty. Mu Qiqi did not reply, but the professor returned to the lab. Seeing the strange atmosphere between the two, he seemed to have noticed something. Those young masters have already started their investigation. I believe there will be results soon. I just hope that there won't be more piles of body parts. Professor, I have another discovery. Go ahead, the professor said to Mu Qiqi as he washed his hands. Why are there only 2 adult males who lost their palms among the 5 corpses? And they lost their left hands. Is it possible that the murderer also lost his left hand, and because he was jealous of the intact bodies of these dead men, he chopped them off to vent his anger? I'll let the police join the investigation. Now let's check the body parts again and see if we can find anything new. Feng Shanshan, come and help, the professor ordered. When Feng Shanshan saw Mu Qiqi calmly walking around the corpses with a magnifying glass, she mustered her courage and went to the piles of corpses. However, no matter how much she did not want to admit defeat, she threw up in front of the pool after taking a look. Turns out that you're really a heroine. The professor could not help but praise Mu Qiqi. It was the first time she saw such a disgusting scene, but she was surprisingly calm. Mu Qiqi smiled and continued to look for clues and answers on the body parts. After vomiting, Feng Shanshan walked to Mu Qiqi's side. But when she opened her eyes and looked at the headless corpse, she turned to the pool again and vomited. If you can't stand it, you can leave first. Feng Shanshan took a moment to compose herself and said, I admit that I'm not as good as you in that regard. But I'll surpass you soon. Mu Qiqi did not have a good impression of Feng Shanshan. She even subconsciously felt that the girl carried some of old Xing's arrogance, and the two were very similar. It seemed that he would have to suffer in the forensics laboratory in the future. In the evening, Su Che drove to the entrance of the criminal police station, with Xing Xiao sitting in the back seat. Then he gave Mu Qiqi a call. Mu Qiqi changed and left. Feng Shanshan followed behind her. When she saw her get into Xing Xiao's car, she sneered. The sarcasm in her eyes was very strong. The crown prince was supposed to be the pride of the heavens, but he was so smitten by Mu Qiqi that he did not even want Huang Yao anymore. It was no wonder that old Xing would pay her so much to keep an eye on Mu Qiqi and report back to him. Be that as it may, Mu Qiqi's daily study life was going according to plan and there was nothing she could use against her. There was no telling why old Xing would keep an eye on Mu Qiqi. When Mu Qiqi got into the car, she realized that they were not heading home, and turned to ask Xing Xiao, Where are we going? I wanted to pick you up, but I got a call from Secretary He on the way to dinner. So I simply brought you along. Xing Xiao explained. I know what kind of person Secretary He is, but is it okay if you bring me along? You're the eldest daughter of the Shen family. What's wrong with that? Xing Xiao was completely unconcerned. Moreover, who would have an opinion about his woman? Mu Qiqi nodded and did not think much of it. When the time came, she would just bury herself in her food and try not to interrupt men's matters. Soon the trio arrived at the hotel. Xing Xiao led Mu Qiqi into the extraordinarily lively private room. Secretary He raised a brow at Xing Xiao when he saw Mu Qiqi. That must be my little sister-in-law. Hello. Mu Qiqi quickly greeted him. Mayor Shen's niece and the old chief's granddaughter. You're really extraordinary. With that, Secretary He raised his glass at Xing Xiao. Sister-in-law is still young, so we won't let her drink. You drink in her stead. Xing Shao took off his jacket and draped it over the back of Mu Qiqi's chair. Then he put his arm over Mu Qiqi's back, assuming a protective stance. This little one can drink. I'm not falling for that. I'll be drinking double when the time comes. Xing Shao smiled. Mu Qiqi glanced at the people there. There were around 11 of them, including herself and Xing Shao, and each of them had an imposing appearance. Even the middle-aged men among them did not appear greasy. Such was Xing Zhao's social circle. As for Secretary although he liked to joke, he was a man of action and courage. Such a ruthless man. You should be replaced. Mu Qiqi lowered her head to eat, smiling along with them. She knew that those people were talking about cooperation and she did not understand or need to be involved. Still, she felt that it was worth it to watch Xing Shao argue with the crowd. It was no wonder he never lost a contract negotiation. What was rarer was that these people were not unscrupulous at all when they interacted with each other. They were very respectful of women, and never joked about them from the beginning of the meal to the end of the drinks. That was what Mu Qiqi was most satisfied with. After that, people started to leave the banquet one after another. There were only 3 or 4 people left and they continued to drink. There aren't many true feelings in this world. Cherish them when you meet them and don't separate no matter what happens. Take me and sister-in-law for example. We wanted to divorce more than 100 times in the first year of our marriage, but we would feel upset every time we reached the Civil Affairs Bureau. It hurts to think of the wife you love and dote on suddenly becoming someone else's. That's why I made a pact with sister-in-law that if anyone mentions divorce again, they would have to do housework for the rest of their lives. Mu Qiqi hugged Xing Zhao's arm, listening intently. We're all hot-blooded soldiers. It's our duty to protect our country. Are we still men if we can't even protect our wives? If there's a chance in the future, I'll let you meet my wife and son. My son is so beautiful. Chapter 4:17. No, I have to go home. I'm going to get scolded again if my son smells alcohol on me. With those words, Secretary he propped himself up and told Xing Shao, the people you came to meet tonight are all noble gentlemen, I know. Secretary he clapped his hand on Xing Zhao's shoulder, his expression meaningful. Let's go, Xing Shao nodded and saw Secretary he out of the private room with Mu Qiqi. When all the guests had left, Mu Qiqi could not help but sigh. I've only seen a few of them on TV. I've finally seen them for myself how admirable they are. Mu Qiqi sighed. Xing Shao smiled and was about to bring Mu Qiqi home. However, when they reached the front desk to pay the bill, they ran into Xing Kai, who was also hosting a banquet with Gu Xiling. Both of them were treating their business partners to a meal for their wedding. It was the first time they met outside of Xing Zhao's house since he left Huangyao. Compared to his flamboyant self before, Xing Shao was much more composed now. Xing Kai assumed that he was forced to keep his fierceness because of financial constraints, but how could he know who Xing Shao was meeting just now? Xing Shao did not spare them a glance and merely took out his gold card to the front desk. Bill, please. Let me do it. Xing Kai pushed Xing Zhao's gold card back. You don't have an income now that you're leaving the Xing family, and it's best not to come to such high-class hotels again. I'll pay for this meal. Mu Qiqi felt that Xing Kai had misunderstood something at that. Xing Shao, however, nodded. You're the CEO of Huangyao now. That's not a problem. Isn't that the path you chose? Xing Kai told Xing Shao even as he paid the bill. Also, you better not let the old man see you. You know how much he hates you now. That was when the receptionist told them, I'm sorry, but this bill has already been paid for. It was Secretary he who had sent his assistant to handle it before he left. That was why Xing Kai did not get the chance to earn some face in front of Xing Shao. Leave it for next time since you like paying for me so much. With that, he winked at Mu Qiqi. Scope. Mu Qiqi held back her laughter. She could not say it out loud, so she nodded. Goodbye. Old 8, it's rare for us to meet outside. How about another drink? Forget it. I'm so poor. I won't embarrass you as the CEO of Huangyao. With that, the two of them left. On the other hand, Gu Xiling stood beside Xing Kai and looked at him from the beginning to the end. Sure enough, after losing the halo of being the crown prince, he was just a profiteer who was greedy for money even for a meal. With such a comparison, it seemed that Xing Kai was slightly better now. And did Xing Kai really want to help Xing Shao? All he wanted was to humiliate and mock Xing Shao with the cost of a meal. Look at how glorious he was in the past, but what about now? He actually wagged his tail and begged for mercy for the sake of a meal. But only Muchichi knew how much she wanted to laugh out loud. Her man's potential for black-bellied was really unlimited. Since someone was willing to pay for him, he was more than happy to do so. What a shame, secretary, he has already given it to me. Xing Xiao said regretfully. You don't know. I almost couldn't hold it in. Muchichi was still laughing even after getting into the car. But it's enough to prove what kind of change second brother has changed, third brother. Because he didn't want to pay for us at all. He just wanted to humiliate you with the cost of a meal. All the good feelings I had for him are gone now. What does it matter? The two of them pretended that it was a joke and returned home in a good mood. As for Xing Kai, when he returned home he told third brother about his encounter with Xing Xiao at the hotel. I think eighth brother won't be able to splurge for much longer. I almost couldn't recognize him when I saw him at the hotel today. The once glorious crown prince is like that now. That's why I wanted to pay for him. Are you saying that you wanted to pay for eighth brother when you met him at the hotel today? Third brother looked as if he was watching a show. Yes, he didn't refuse. Nonsense. Xing Xiao was such a smart man. Wouldn't 100 billion be too much when he owned Zhongting? It would be weird if he didn't want someone giving him money. Third brother, I'm really emotional. Perhaps the Xing family had put him on too high a pedestal before and treated him as a god. But tonight he, wagging his tail and begging for mercy, right? No, third brother was about to suffer an internal injury. Only the Xing family would think that giving Xing Xiao out of charity was a form of revenge. How happy would he be if someone paid for him? Yeah, I won't treat eighth brother as an opponent from now on, because I don't think he deserves it anymore. Alright, second brother. I know. I'm tired after a long day of work. I'm going back to my room to rest. Most of all, third brother felt that he would lose control and laugh out loud if he kept listening. Go. Xing Kai simply assumed that third brother was protecting Xing Xiao. That was why he couldn't listen to his nagging. Moreover, he wasn't the only one who thought that Xing Xiao's legend was over. Even Gu Xiling was extremely disappointed in Xing Xiao. Where was the domineering Xing Xiao at old Sheng's birthday banquet now? As expected, once a man lost power and influence, he would appear plain and ordinary. That way she felt a little better about marrying Xing Kai. Of course, the old man had to know about that. Especially at the dining table the next morning, the old man's mood was indescribably bright. After all, he had heard that Xing Kai had humiliated Xing Xiao. Third brother couldn't help burying his head in his food. Could stupidity really be contagious? Your wedding is in a few days. Second brother, you should go to the Su family and invite fourth sister and Jing Yun to the wedding. You should also discuss their marriage in passing. Got it, grandfather. Xing Kai replied. Meanwhile, Jing Yun had been busy filling the hole that Su Yihong and his son had left in Su Holdings. That was why he didn't pay much attention to Xing Xiao, and could only listen to Xing Minglan talk about it when he returned home every day. That night, Xing Kai brought along Gu Xiling for a visit to the Su family with a gift and an invitation. Still, he appeared awkward because Jing Yun had once been close to the Xing family. I hope you won't hold a grudge no matter what I've done before. After all, you're my brother-in-law now. Chapter 418. It would be best if you could let bygones be bygones. I'm just afraid that you would refuse to interact with us because of eighth brother. I don't think so. Jing Yun replied. Grandfather even said that he would discuss your marriage when the time comes. There was awkwardness in the Su family's living room for the entire night. Jing Yun had no intention of reminiscing with Xing Kai, and Xing Minglan did not like Gu Xiling either, which was why she did not say a word. In the end, it was the two elders of the Su family who dispelled the awkwardness, finding an excuse for Jing Yun and Xing Minglan to leave. Eighth brother is no longer with the Xing family, and second brother has become the CEO. But I have the feeling that the Xing family is different now. Grandfather even had people burn down Jing Ting. Jing Yun turned to look at Xing Minglan's dejected expression and hugged her. When the Su family is back on track, let's travel abroad and get married. Really? But Mom and Dad only want us to be happy and don't want to have too much to do with the Xing family. The only regret I have is that we can't give you a grand wedding, but we could find a small church abroad and have a wedding just for the two of us. Jing Yun's expression was serious, which reassured Xing Minglan. Since Su Holdings is stable now, we should think of a way to help eighth brother. At that, Jing Yun put a hand on Xing Minglan's shoulder and explained seriously, "Listen to me, Minglan. I've been with him for over a decade and Mu Chichi probably doesn't know him as well as I do. He doesn't need anyone's help and don't believe the rumors out there. You can't imagine what the young master can do and what he can do. That's why we have to take care of ourselves. That would be the greatest help to him." "Is that really so? Trust me. That must be it." Xing Minglan trusted him, which was why she nodded, feeling reassured. "I'm just afraid that he would make a big fuss again. Now all of Jianchuan is mocking him. Just think about how a proud person like him would endure such humiliation. Based on my understanding of him, he must be hiding at home watching the show. That was why even Mu Chichi had to admit defeat. After all, Jing Yun had been by Xing Zhao's side for so many years, and no one in this world could match his understanding of Xing Xiao. Then, do you want to attend my second brother's wedding? If you think you... Of course I'm going." As the representative of the Su family, it was unreasonable for him not to go. Of course, the most important reason was that he felt that he would be able to watch a wonderful show at the wedding banquet. The circle of nobles had always been this realistic. Come to think of it, Lu Qianqian felt that she should spend more time to talk to Mu Chichi. There were so many rumors about Xing Xiao and Jianchuan, and Mu Chichi was definitely in a bad mood. So Lu Qianqian got in touch with successor training early and planned to drive to the Shen family. However, as soon as he walked out of the gate of Lu Enterprises, he saw Lin Mu, and leaning against the stone pillar at the entrance. Lu Qianqian's heart immediately soared. "Why are you here? Isn't school starting?" "I'm on vacation so I came out to see you," Lin Mu replied. "I was going to see Mu Chichi. Then I came at the wrong time." Lin Mu said in disdain even as he opened Lu Qianqian's car door. Lu Qianqian smiled and only said when she saw that he had settled in. "Say, why didn't your school train your body to be smarter? Stop fooling around. Let's find a place to park. I only have 10 minutes before I return to the team." Lin Mu explained. "Just 10 minutes. Can't you go back to school earlier? How could I not worry if I don't see your ugly face?" Lin Mu pinched Lu Qianqian's cheek. "I'm relieved now that I see you. Still, little Pepper, you've put on quite a bit of weight after not seeing you for some time. Get lost." Lu Qianqian was furious. At the same time she felt sorry for him. "If you lack anything in school, just tell me. I'm your best friend after all. I can still help you with such a small matter. I'm leaving." Lin Mu took out a childish clay figurine from his pocket and put it in Lu Qianqian's hand. Then he jumped out of the car and soon disappeared before Lu Qianqian's eyes. Lu Qianqian could only smile helplessly at the clay figurine. "He made you so ugly." But what she did not know was how much effort Lin Mu had spent to come out of the police academy to see her. Just because he had dreamt that old Lin was going to attack the Lu family. He was really worried, and that was why he ran out with all his might. But after one look at the little Pepper, he ran back foolishly. The little Pepper had unwittingly become his Achilles heel. In fact, was Lin Mu not a concern for Lu Qianqian as well? It was as if he was a family member. Although she lived a busy life every day, Lu Qianqian still missed that bastard who would go against her every time they met. She was worried that old Lin would trouble him, worried that he would not have enough to eat or wear because of his pride, afraid that he would be bullied outside and have no one to back him up. I wonder when that bastard would grow up. And because of Lin Mu's delay, Lu Qianqian was no longer in the mood to see Mu Chichi. Soon the wedding between the Xing and Gu families was held grandly in Jianchuan. The marriage between the two families was naturally a grand affair with a hall full of guests. After the storm of Xing Zhao's departure from Huangyao, the Xing family welcomed their guests with a grand ceremony once again. And this time the old man's hopes would not be disappointed. After all, Xing Kai was different from Xing Xiao. The venue for the wedding was very luxurious. Thousands of champagne roses decorated the wedding venue into a sacred manner. It was said that hundreds of millions of dollars were spent on the wedding. Gu Ziling's bridal gown alone was embedded with over 500 diamonds, and was worth over 10 million. Such a scene was rare in Jianchuan. It was clear how much importance old Xing placed on the wedding. In just a little over a month he had created such a grand wedding. The Gu family was very pleased. Their daughter's grand wedding gave them great pride. Moreover, her son-in-law was handsome and capable. Thinking about it this way, not choosing Xing Xiao in the first place was the right decision. Of course, the guests were gossipy and some of them were even talking about Xing Xiao recently. Chapter 419. That's right. You all must have heard about the news of the crown prince being humiliated endlessly. I wonder if he would come to the wedding today. He probably won't. After all, he's the one making a fuss about leaving the Xing family. It was inevitable that the guests would mention Xing Zhao's name, and the old man's face naturally darkened at that. There's no such person in the Xing family. I hope that you would respect the host today and not talk about this irrelevant person at my grandson's wedding. Not at all. We're just saying that your second grandson is a talented young man. That's right. Huang Yao doesn't really need anyone. With Chairman Sheng's wise leadership, someone else could lead Huang Yao to glory all the same. Naturally, such polite words were better listened to. However, Xing Kai still felt good when he heard that. The old man did not have to be so calculative. Instead of saying that he was refusing to talk about Xing Xiao, it would be more accurate to say that he could stomp Xing Xiao into the mud. Jing Yun and Xing Minglan only arrived at the hotel when the wedding ceremony was about to begin. Though the old man was embarrassed, he had to greet them. Jing Yun, fourth sister, grandfather. Xing Minglan greeted the old man a little awkwardly. You two should get ready after second brother's wedding. Do you like such a wedding? I'll prepare a grander one for you then. No need. Su Holdings is very busy these days and Jing Yun and I could just travel and get married. Xing Minglan refused. The old man did not say much when he saw that the two were not appreciative. He was just being polite anyway, because he knew very well that he would not get on Jing Yun's good side even if he wanted to announce his relationship with the Su family. That being the case, he was actually relieved that they did not have a wedding. Let's go in. The wedding ceremony is about to begin. Jing Yun led Xing Minglan inside when some of the guests were pointing at him. He used to be the crown prince's assistant, but he's now the third young master of the Su family. Xing Xiao is already in such a state, but he's not going to help him. How heartless. You don't know, but Jing Yun is already married to fourth sister of the Xing family. Since he's the Xing family's son-in-law, he should have some scruples. Jing Yun said nothing, but Xing Minglan turned to glare at the gossipy women. Soon the wedding ceremony officially began. All the guests held their breaths as they watched Gu Xiling walk down the red carpet in her wedding gown, which was worth tens of millions. The two of them looked so affectionate, because Gu Xiling suddenly realized that Xing Kai was the strongest man in the Xing family right now. As for Xing Xiao, he could go to hell. That was why she was willing to marry Xing Kai today. It was a complete change from her initial reluctance to be with a man who loved her. Perhaps, when the time of the contract was up, she would be the one unwilling to be the one to leave. After the ceremony, old Xing was invited to the stage to say a few words of blessing for the newlyweds. And the first thing he said was that he had been blind. I was blind in the past. I didn't notice such a good grandson. I raised an ingrate for more than 20 years and almost picked the wrong couple. Here I want to apologize to my grandson and granddaughter-in-law. From now on, I only hope that the two of you could work hand in hand and tide over the difficulties together, and have a few more children so that I could enjoy the joy of playing with grandchildren. Of course, if anyone dares to provoke my grandson or bully my granddaughter-in-law, these old bones of mine would be the first to fight them to the death. I have to say that second brother is the greatest contributor to the Xing family and the hope of Huang Yao's future. I have placed all my hopes on the newlyweds. The old man's words had basically wiped away all of Xing Zhao's contributions to Huang Yao. He really knew how to be a heartless grandfather. Jingyan, let's go. Xing Minglan could not help roaring inwardly at that. Tired? Yes. Then I'll take you to greet the newlyweds. With that, Jingyun led Xing Minglan to Xing Kai and Gu Xiling. The ceremony was over, and the newlyweds were ready to change into their attire for a toast. Second brother, second sister-in-law Minglan and I are going back now. There are still many things waiting for us at Su Holdings. You should at least have a meal before you leave. No need. Jing Yun said stubbornly and was about to leave with Xing Minglan. But before they left, Xing Minglan told Xing Kai, no matter how much you want to deny eighth brother's existence or tarnish his reputation, You have to admit that it was Xing Xiao who had developed Huang Yao to where it is now over the last 10 years. You could lie to your guests but not to yourselves. I wish you all the best, second brother. Sheng Kai's face promptly fell, but he could do nothing about Xing Minglan. Of course, Xing Minglan only said those words out of frustration. She didn't care where she was right now. The old man had humiliated, tarnished, burned down houses and slaughtered without a shred of conscience. And the rest of the Xing family, on the other hand, were riding on the tree planted by their predecessors to humiliate them. Wasn't that ironic? Are you that angry? Jing Yun couldn't help smirking at Xing Minglan's fuming look. No one would get justice for eighth brother if I don't say a word. Xing Minglan snorted. Well, it's still early. Let's go find young master for lunch. Okay. Xing Minglan nodded. Soon Jing Yun called Xing Xiao to confirm where he was. Knowing where they came from, Xing Xiao gave Jing Yun an address. Xing Minglan soon realized that it wasn't the way to the Shin's residence and asked Jing Yun, "Aren't we going to find eighth brother?" "Young master gave me the address. He's there now." Xing Minglan nodded and didn't ask anything else. It was only when they arrived at the front desk of Zhongting that they met the receptionist. "Excuse me. Are you Mr. Jing and Miss Sheng?" Xing Minglan nodded in confusion. The receptionist promptly sent them to the CEO's personal elevator and sent them directly to Xing Zhao's office. "Chief Xing, your guests are here. Come in." Xing Zhao's voice could be heard from the office. Chapter 420. Xing Minglan. Xing Minglan was utterly confused. What's going on? New company. Can't you tell? Wait, when did you start your own company? Is that the point? Xing Xiao rose from his chair and walked up to them, lifting a brow. Meanwhile, Xing Minglan was beside herself with excitement after walking a lap around Xing Zhao's office. So, who are you trying to fool when you were humiliated and trampled on by those three young masters? That's not entirely true. That night, those three people were indeed trying to humiliate me. Xing Minglan's gloominess was suddenly swept away, and she stared at Xing Xiao in disbelief. You're really unexpected. As expected, Jing Yun is the one who understands you the most in this world. After all, he didn't follow me all these years for nothing. Xing Xiao replied. Now everyone in Jianchuan is laughing at you for being a failure and how useless you are now. And yet you quietly became the ruler of this place? That's not like you, who would seek vengeance. One must learn to keep a low profile. Whatever the case may be, Xing Minglan was really pleased. Her younger brother was really invincible. It seems that I really don't have to worry or be afraid of you from now on. Did you know that I even reprimanded second brother at the wedding for you? And I was worried for nothing, wasn't I? That's why I've asked you to come. Xing Minglan really forgot about her anger at that moment, and simply found the whole thing interesting. When do you plan to reveal your identity? There's no rush. Someone would come to fawn over me soon. Xing Minglan laughed at that. Xing Xiao, you weren't that cunning before. Did you learn that from Mu Qiqi? The trio had lunch at Zhongting's cafeteria with Xing Minglan exclaiming, "You're really a sly old fox. It's such a good deal to have eldest uncle be your industrial designer for free." That said, I rarely see eldest uncle so focused on one thing. It was also because they had seen Papa Xing working in his workshop that they could not help but sigh in awe. It's fine as long as you know this. No matter what kind of rumors are spreading about me in the outside world, you can pretend not to hear them. I didn't know you were so capable before. Xing Minglan glared at him. Now that we know that you're a big shot, Jing Yun and I will only think that those rumors are funny. We won't really take it to heart. She used to think that Xing Minglan was pitiful when Xing Xiao became like the rumors. But now she was relieved. The two stayed in Zhongting until the day before Xing Zhao's meeting. On the other hand, Xing Minglan only understood half of the conversation between Jing Yun and Xing Xiao. That was why on the way home from Zhongting, Xing Minglan couldn't help asking, "I don't really understand the jargon you were using just now. Could you tell me in a nutshell what it means?" In short, young master is more powerful than before. Anyone in his circle could cause an earthquake in Jianchuan. Xing Minglan nodded. That's right. No wonder he looks down on Huang Yao so much. When the Xing family was humiliating Xing Xiao in all sorts of ways, he was walking to a height no one else could reach. I'm really worried that the old man would have a heart attack when this matter is exposed. That's none of our business. It was a significant day for the Xing family, both for Huang Yao and for Xing Kai. At night, after the wedding, he carried Gu Xiling back to the bridal chamber and asked her, "Are you ready?" Thinking about it now, Gu Xiling did not seem to dislike Xing Kai as much and so nodded. "Since you plan to have a child as soon as possible, we won't use contraceptives." Hearing this, Gu Xiling nodded her head again. Perhaps it was the effect of alcohol, or perhaps it was because they were dressed up, but they did not dislike each other as much at that moment. So, it was only after they entered the bridal chamber that Xing Kai realized that although Gu Xiling was living with her ex-boyfriend, she was still a virgin. Such a discovery was simply a pleasant surprise for him. That was why he could not help having sex with Gu Xiling again and again. Both of them hoped that they could have a child soon. But was it really that easy to have a child? Meanwhile, Xing Xiao was cleaning the strange smell on Mu Qiqi's body and listening to her talk about the case of the 5 corpses. "Do you know why the 5 corpses were gutted from the side?" "Why?" Xing Xiao asked cooperatively. "Because the murderer used to be a fish merchant. A customer complained that he didn't clean the fish's organs properly, so he got into an argument with the customer. The customer yelled at him to kill him if he had the ability. Then the murderer stole these corpses to practice his skills before he took revenge on the customer. He's a real pervert. When the police found him, the internal organs of those people were still hanging in his house. He probably wanted to dry them and make them into a specimen. And the strangest thing is that I always thought that he was jealous of the others because he lost his left hand. But when the police caught him, they found that he had 7 fingers on his left hand. Perhaps he could not stand the strange looks of others and gradually became twisted. His family also left him one by one, so he stole the corpses and forcibly became a family. So you've done a good deed." Mu Qiqi smiled and suddenly remembered that Xing Minglan had called her in the afternoon. "Did you let 4th sister and Jing Yun go to Zhongting?" "4th sister went to the wedding today and scolded 2nd brother. That's why I couldn't keep hiding it from her, so I told her the secret so that she could be happy." "You should have done that earlier. It's a pity I wasn't there, or I could see 4th sister's excited face." Mu Qiqi expressed her regret. After washing her hair, Xing Xiao wiped her hair with a towel. But slowly his hand began to move downwards. Mu Qiqi promptly laughed. "Stop it. Let me dry my hair first or I'll catch a cold. I'll spare you for now." Xing Xiao did not want his little one to suffer, and so temporarily suppressed his desire. Meanwhile, Mu Qiqi was puzzled. How could this man still have the mood to do that after hearing about the body parts and organs? "Xiao Xiao, your mental fortitude is better than Feng Shanshan's. This person has dealings with the Xing family. Keep your guard up," Xing Xiao said seriously as he carried Mu Qiqi out of the bathtub. "Of course I'll be on guard. Actually, I would be careful even if you didn't tell me. You should know that your little wife is very vengeful." Her eyes were always on Feng Shanshan. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.